to 6. It's time to get up and get your day started. It's Sports 56 mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Now, here are your hosts, Greg and Eli.
Welcome in on this Valentine's Day Friday. Time to get you set for the sports weekend. One show to go. In fact, it's a long weekend for most people. With President's Day being Monday, we will have a show, though, on Monday. Welcome into Sports 56 Mornings, the Friday, February 14th, 2025 edition. I'm Greg Gaston. Eli off today. Elijah Seegers is our producer. We're in the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, where family and fun come together. The preseason pool and patio sale continues. Yes, spring right around the corner, you would think, and it is. But right now, we are still dealing with winter. But why not take advantage of the 2024 pricing that they have on a lot of the items, including all above pools and patio furniture at Family Leisure. And beat the rush. Get in line for your pool installation now. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Currently, it is 28 degrees, quite nippy out there. The high today will get to 52. It'll feel balmy compared to what we've had the last day. Man, it was downright cold last night. Sun and clouds mixed today. Then tonight we're looking at 45 for a low. Cloudy skies early, then thunderstorms developing late. Storms may produce some hail, and the chance of rain is pretty high at 90%. Looks like it'll be a rainy day on Saturday with a high temperature nearing 70. But again, a high percentage of precipitation and thunder boomers as well. Your Sunday drops to 39 for a high. Again, it's just a yo-yo weather affair. That's all we've had. 65 down to 32, up to 62, down to 28. It is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Then Monday for the holiday Monday, 42 for your high with mostly sunny skies, a little bit of clouds as well. That's your weather forecast for today and this weekend. As for the show, we're busy. We always are busy. We're going to talk Tigers basketball. They knocked off South Florida last night on the road, 80-65. John Varlos from the Daily Memphian will stop in at 7:25. At 8:05, we'll head down to Florida. Spring training for the Cardinals and Katie Wu from The Athletic. Matt Dillon at 8:25. He got back late. I'm sure he's going to be a little tired, but Matt Dillon will join us for the Tiger Basketball Report at 8:25. We'll play 10 in a row, the game show that has swept the nation at 9:05. And then one final time this season, I believe it's a wrap-up with Brandon Lang. If he remembers, I'm sure he'll want to come on and gloat about his pick of the Eagles big. Not just the pick of the Eagles, but the pick of the Eagles big in Super Bowl 59. Elijah, how are you?
I'm good. Excited that it's Friday. We had a lighter morning, I think, this morning than mornings past, so I was really excited to wake up and see that nice little scenic drive this morning, so I'm feeling pretty good. How about you, Greg?
I'm good. It's Valentine's Day. You know, this is one of those deals, it's a Hallmark made-up holiday. That's what it is, Valentine's Day. But it's important, right? Especially if you have a loved one in your life, and you do. Even if you're single, you know, mama is a sweetheart, right? It's Valentine's Day. Or if you have children, you have daughters, even sons, you know, it's manufactured, but it's fun. We have a good time with it. You know, make your trip to Dinstall's, head over to James Gaddis Jewelers, whatever, if you are procrastinators in the getting gifts for Valentine's Day. But it's kind of weird. Like, do I just make a blanket statement and tell people Happy Valentine's Day?
I don't see the problem with that.
I know. It's just Valentine's Day is intimate. You know, I'm telling all my listeners out there, Happy Valentine's Day to you. Like, you're my Valentine. You're not my Valentine. I care for you, but you're not my Valentine. Valentine's Day, I don't know. It's one of those strange deals. Look, we don't make a big deal. I guess some people make a big deal out of like a St. Patrick's Day. If you're Irish, certainly. But Valentine's Day, I don't know when it was created. I don't know how far you got to go back. But Monday's a national holiday. It's President's Day. If I'm not mistaken, and I probably am because memory doesn't always serve me correctly, didn't we used to have President's Day was always celebrated in February, but didn't we have a separate like Lincoln's birthday and Washington's birthday. Weren't they all born basically in February, I think? And like we were celebrating the different presidents, and then we kind of put it all together for President's Day. Am I wrong?
It seems like there was something like that. I don't know if it was in my lifetime or not, but I vaguely do remember something like that too. Maybe it's a Mandela effect thing. I don't know, but
Yeah, and I'm not saying we got off for those days, but we just kind of looped it all together. I think again, February's crazy. Last year was a leap year. So last year we had 29 days. But it's the shortest month, so you got 28 days. Jammed into February. It's Black History Month. You got President's Day, so you got a holiday. You got the non-official holiday of Valentine's Day. You have the Super Bowl. You have the Daytona 500 this weekend. You have NBA All-Star Weekend. Have we had the NHL All-Star Game?
I have no earthly idea.
I know right now they have that event going on, the four, whatever it's called. I forget what. Last night, the United States crushed Finland. You have the Pro Bowl. That was the first weekend of February. You have college basketball games, men and women, NBA games. You have the start of spring training, which is already underway. You have the Combine, which starts at the end of the month, leading into early March. Am I missing anything? Sports just come together. There's a couple times a year, like it meshes, and February is one of those months. Speaking of the Combine, congratulations to Seth Hennigan and Rock Taylor from the University of Memphis. Both got their official invites to Indianapolis. Isn't that great?
That's great news. Great for those guys. They deserve it.
Multiple Tigers. It's a limited amount of people, a limited amount of players that get invited. The Combine will be February 27th through March 2nd. The quarterback and the receiver drills are set for March 1st. Unfortunately, Chandler Martin and Mario Anderson, two guys that certainly could have been invited, they did not get the invite. Doesn't mean that those two won't make it in the NFL. Certainly Chandler Martin, who many believe will, even though he's a little bit undersized for a linebacker. He's just, he knows how to play. He's got a knack for the football. I think he's going to make, and Mario Anderson has a chance, certainly has a chance. So these guys will, go through the harder route to get there. But, and as far as the draft is concerned, there's nothing etched in stone that Rock Taylor gets drafted. Even Seth Hennigan, I think he should, and I think he will, but he may not. And then you have to go the undrafted free agency route. But I think all these guys have an opportunity to keep that line going of Memphis players that have gone on to play in the National Football League. But that's great news. And, of course, Seth helped himself immensely with what he did in Mobile at the Senior Bowl. All the practices leading up, he had a good week. And then he played very well in that fourth quarter. That was the only time he played in that Senior Bowl. Led the team to the victory, throwing that touchdown pass on the last play of the game. So that certainly helped his cause. The Tigers last night, they beat South Florida 80-65, and they win their 8th straight. By the way, you can hit us up text-wise, call-wise. Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines are always open to you at 901-360-8255. The 14th-ranked Tigers won their 8th straight to improve to 21-4, 11-1 in the conference. The game started out about as ugly as it could possibly start. Did you watch?
I did watch. It was a turnover fest for the first 10 to 12 minutes of the game. It was very ugly.
It was like putting I'm going way back in time. You don't even probably know what an album is, your album on 33, and then you put it up to 78. And everything was sped up, both teams, and they were out of control. And once again, Memphis, when they turned the ball over, which unfortunately is a lot of the games this year, they do it by self-inflicted wounds. It's never by a team pressing them. Very, very rarely. It was just, telegraph pass or throw it into a crowd. Now, they did a lot better in the second half protecting the basketball. There was a little sequence where I think P.J. Carter turned it over 2 straight times. But for the most part, they protected the basketball much better in the second half, which has also been a recurring theme of the late. But when the Tigers turn it on, man, they turn it on. That game was Ugly early. Now, very, very early in the game, very early, first couple of minutes, teams were hitting shots. But then it got ugly where it was in the mud. And nobody was making shots. They were turning the ball over. And then at about, 7 minutes to go in the half, it took a while. That 7-minute stretch to end the first half, Tigers just turned on the switch, went to another gear, making shots, defending, communicating, and at halftime, it was over. It was just a matter of whether they'd cover, what would be the final score.
Yeah, that stretch, the second half of the first half, was the difference in the game, where they go on I think it was 21-8 run at one point, and ultimately that's the distance that they kept for the rest of the game.
Yeah, that ended the game again for all intents and purposes. Now, the lead got up to 24, and again, we can be picky here. You get it to 24, conceivably, you end it by winning by 30. They didn't do that. South Florida made some shots. Now, it didn't finish a single-digit win. It still finished a double-digit win. Ken Pomeroy was on our show yesterday, and if you missed that interview, you could always go to the website, sportsmemphis.com. I think we have that on featured audio. Correct, Elijah? Yep. So you can go listen to what he has to say about his rankings and ratings and how he does things. But he had Memphis projected as a 10-point winner last night. And they won by 15. Have you looked at the net yet? Can you look at the net? I don't know if it's updated yet this morning. I'm very curious to see. Memphis was 45 yesterday. Will they actually move up a spot or two? Or will they drop or will they stay the same? What's happening?
It has not been updated yet this morning, but I expect it to be here in the next 30 minutes to an hour, so I'll update that whenever it updates.
Yeah, I'm just going to be really curious about winning by 15 on the road in conference. Now, South Florida was a 195 net. Nothing to write home about. But you could easily lose your focus, and they didn't. Now, it was good to have Tyrese Hunter back. Missed the game on Sunday against Temple and was able to return to the lineup. There was a little scary situation there where he came down a little gingerly, and at first thought, Penny Hardaway said, he was worried it could be the knee. That's what kept him out and what's given him some problems. But it was just a tweak of the ankle, and he stayed in the game. So he was good. Tyrese ended up with 15 points, hit 3 of 5 threes, and just brings that leadership, that swagger to the Tigers lineup. They couldn't stop Danger. Danger has a lot of incredible post moves. For those that haven't really watched the Tigers and concentrated on Danger, his footwork is impeccable for a big. 20 points, 7 rebounds, terrific. P.J. Haggerty, under his point total, his average, but he's one of the top scorers in the nation, still ended up with 18 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. I love how he crashes the boards. And then Moussa Cisse contributed. 9 points, 7 rebounds. Certainly was an obstacle for South Florida defensively. South Florida came out and started jacking threes. They ended up 7 of 29. The Tigers ended up 9 of 25. And what I really liked was the Tigers on the boards in this particular game. They out-rebounded South Florida 51-34. So they dominated the boards. And that was really good to see. Memphis added 9 steals, 15 assists, 12 turnovers. Again, most of those turnovers in the first half. You'd love to see that turnover number at 10 or less if possible. They did turn South Florida over 15 times. Memphis for the game ended up shooting just 40% from the field, so a little bit under what they would normally shoot. And South Florida was held to 38.3% from the field. So all in all, good trip to Tampa. Again, nothing to sneeze at, 11-1. And with each passing game, you start to really think more and more that they could do it. They could run the table.
It looks like it, especially if they keep trending the way that they are trending right now, I think that there is a very realistic possibility we see them win those 17 games in a row going into the NCAA tournament.
It's a lot to ask for. It really is a lot to ask for. And, I said before the season, I see a couple losses, one where they just throw up a clunker, which happened in Philadelphia, and I said they'd split with UAB. And I feel really good about them right now. I'm not going to change what I said in the preseason. UAB, I think, will be a much different team at home. That place will be hostile. And it should be fun. Bring back the old rivalry. But other than that, they should be able to cruise. And Wichita State is their next opponent. Wichita State's better than this South Florida team. Memphis has already beaten them, but they go on the road, and instead of going down to Tampa where you get off the plane and it's nice and warm and you're feeling good, I'm sure Wichita is going to be cold and not as appealing. Doesn't mean that your mindset won't be ready for the game itself, but it's an early tip on Sunday. So you're at the hotel, got to get up early, got to pack because you're leaving right after the game. These are a lot of things that come into play that people don't really talk about.
Yeah, I've heard it more often than not, and I don't know if this is true with Penny and his team, but that the road teams prefer to play those earlier games because they can get out of the road city faster. They can get their business handled, I guess is the way to put it.
Well, there's no question about it. For a guy like myself who's been on the road with the team over the years, not as much now with basketball, but football I'm on the road, and I was for years and years with basketball. Yeah, they don't want to hang around the hotel. They don't want to wait all day to play a game. So, yes, it is nice to have that game early, get back to your destination, your home city, in this case Memphis, a lot earlier, and hopefully with a dub. But, yes, you can see with 6 games remaining in the regular season before they head down to Dickies Arena in Fort Worth for the American tournament, that Memphis could run the table. By the way, congratulations to Coach Penny Hardaway, his 150th win as the head coach of the University of Memphis Tigers. And if you want a good read about the Tigers, about Penny Hardaway and how things have turned around and the obstacles he's had to deal with and everything really that has put Memphis in this position, there is a story that came out yesterday by ESPN's Jeff Borzello. Read it if you get an opportunity. It's a really good story on Penny and the Tigers. Let's take a quick call or two, read a text or two. Melvin is first up on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines. Melvin?
Morning, Greg. How you guys doing?
Morning. Are you in a car wash? It's really loud, my friend. I'm going to have to put you on hold for a second. See if we can get that straightened out. Man, it's really loud. I don't want to hurt everybody's eardrums with that, but I want to hear from Melvin, certainly, after that victory. So, again, from here, they're back home, arrive back in the early hours, and then they'll head Saturday to Wichita to take on the Shockers. Memphis with that 8th straight win. Again, they're taking care of business. Last night they took care of business, and I thought played pretty darn well after the first 12 minutes of that game. The first 12 minutes of that game was just ugly. Now, if they had played a better team, Memphis may have found themselves down early in that game. But for every bad turnover by Memphis, South Florida, for whatever reason, would just jack up a 25-foot three-pointer. They had really no semblance of their offense, and that hurt. Now, that team is unfortunately in the situation they're in after the loss of their coach just before the start of the season. And you talk about something that can affect you emotionally, mentally, that's it. Those players who were ready to play the season and play for their coach lose the coach, not to mention the whole South Florida family, the university. That's hard. That's hard to come back from. That's why this South Florida team, I think, for the most part, has not been good. They just have not mentally been in. They're trying. They're trying hard, but it's very hard. as you could probably attest to, when you lose a loved one, whether it be flesh and blood or whether it be somebody as important as a coach. All right, let me try Melvin. Once again, we go back to the Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines. Melvin? And we lost Melvin. All right, let's take a timeout. We will get to your calls and texts a little bit later on the Tigers, but we got John Varlas in the on-deck circle. He'll join us next. We'll talk a little high school sports with John, as we do each and every Friday. We'll talk some probably Tigers as well. Later on in the show, we'll be joined by Matt Dillon, so we will have the Tiger basketball report at about 8:25, and then at 9:25, Brandon Lang. BrandonLang.com to wrap up the season with Brandon after his pick of the Philadelphia Eagles for Super Bowl 59. He said the Eagles, and he said the Eagles big, and he was absolutely right on target. The sweetest day of the year is here. It's today. It's Valentine's Day, and Dinstall's is ready with your Valentine's favorites. We were there on Monday broadcasting live. We had a great time. The chocolate-covered strawberries are now available, so the strawberry season is now in full effect. You can get those chocolate-covered strawberries now at any of their 5 locations, but it's more than just that. They got the chocolate-covered grapes, the chocolate-covered pineapples, and then all the delectables like the chocolate-covered pretzels, my favorite, the turtlettes, the creams, the truffles, the cashew crunch. Beautiful keepsake heart boxes filled with handmade chocolates. They're ready for you. All you have to do is stop by today. Everything from 2 ounces to 7 pounds. They can make that for whatever you want. And they can make it for every occasion. It doesn't have to be just Valentine's Day, birthdays, anniversaries, any kind of celebration. It's always a good time for the chocolates and the candies from Dinstall's. They've been making them for 123 years, and you can have them shipped anywhere in the country. But today, if you haven't got your Valentine's goodies yet for your loved ones, make sure to stop by Dinstall's. 5 locations: Collierville, Germantown, Laurelwood, that's in East Memphis, downtown Memphis, and over on Pleasant View, where we were on Monday. That's where the factory is. 5 locations of Dinstall's fine candies and chocolates. When we come back, John Varlas joins us. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
We are Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Sports 56. You to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
Happy Valentine's Day from Gould's, where love is in the air and so is a sweet deal. Buy $200 or more in Gould's gift cards and get 15% off. Treat your Valentine or Valentines to a little pampering, relaxation, and style from Gould's. This Valentine's special offer is available online and in store in Gould's February 7th through the 14th. Just go to GouldSalonSpa.com and use code LOVE25 to purchase online. Gould's Salon Spa, wearing red since 1932.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at
Good morning. It's trying to pick up over here on I-40, coming past Warford, Hollywood, headed towards the 101 connector. Still holding up right now on Billmore's Parkway 385 as you come inbound. As that traffic moves around out there in Collierville, headed towards Shelby County. So far, so good up through South Haven, 55 going northbound. Hey, if your lawn needs some help, don't worry. Call Lawn Solutions. These guys are the best. Just talked to them yesterday. They got a discount for you if you call today. Lawn Solutions, 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 7:26 is the time. I promise we'll get to your calls and texts. I know we had folks lined up to want to talk about the Tigers. The Tigers winning last night in Tampa 80-65. We'll do that a little bit later on, but right now it's time to talk with John Varlas.
It's time for Greg and Eli's weekly visit with John Varlas. Check out John's prep sports coverage and much more at DailyMemphian.com. John is brought to you by Shoot 360 Memphis. With pros and preps go to get their shot. Shoot 360 Memphis. Now here's John Varlas with Greg and Eli.
He is the award-winning prep reporter for the Daily Memphian. He's John Varlas, but he's so much more. You can follow him on Twitter at John Varlas. He joins us every Friday to talk about the high school prep scene here in Memphis, but also some other things. And usually from the mind of John, you never know what you may get. We do know this, though, John. You're brought to everybody each and every week by the great folks at Shoot 360 Memphis.
We do know that, and we do know that Shoot 360 is the place where everyone from preps to pros go to get their game on. Two great locations to serve you. The newer one that opened over the summer there in Cordova on Big Orange Road, and the original in Collierville on 85 Market Street. Both have the same great facilities, the same hands-on technology, the real-time data you can get when you go in there. You enter the shooting bay, Greg. You put up some shots, and you will get an immediate real-time feedback on what you're doing right, and if you're like me and you, what you're doing wrong. But they will definitely what you're doing wrong. They will definitely be able to fix you there at Shoot 360. They've got the best coaches. They've got terrific facilities. They've got full courts. Full courts there for full court game action and that kind of stuff. So it's just a tremendous place, a lot of fun. You can give them a call there at Collierville, 901-316-5500. You can call them in Cordova, 901-779-3176. Monthly subscriptions are available. You can do longer, of course, if you want to. But, I like what you say every morning. Give them a try for a month, 30 days. See it. I think you'll like it, and you'll be hooked and come back for more. Shoot 360 Memphis.
All right, so each and every Friday we start off by you presenting to the folks out there a bone that you would like to pick. Interesting because a couple days ago Eli went off. It was almost a John Varlas-like bone that he picked on the drivers here in Memphis for a certain thing that happened to him, and I forget exactly all the details, but yeah, he went off. I was like, my gosh, it sounds like John on a Friday.
Well, I didn't. For some reason, I hadn't had a chance to listen very much this week, so I hate that I missed that because when Eli gets rolling, he can pick a bone when he gets rolling.
It was a good one, and I think it was because maybe people in their cars weren't rolling or something like that. It was quite good. But what do you got for us today?
Well, I thought with today being Valentine's Day, I would just table all that and come in and spread the love. I was just want to wish everybody a very happy Valentine's Day. If with your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whoever you're listening with today, make sure you show them some love. So I came in here to spread the love today, Greg, and I will give you guys a tip out there. I will tell you what I'm going to do, the perfect romantic Valentine's Day, okay?
All right.
So check this out. This is from me, JV, to all you men out there. Here's how I'm going to roll today.
You're going to play Cupid.
Here's how I'm going to play Cupid today. So I'm going to leave here, go get my workout in. Then I'm going to go home, lay down for a nice nap, maybe an hour and a half.
Okay.
Right. Then my wife and I are going to go to Sam's Club.
Sure.
We're going to stock up on some stuff.
Right.
Then I'm going to go to work. So that's how we're gonna celebrate Valentine's Day, guys. If you want to do it right, take my advice on this.
So is this a sarcastic bone that you're picking here?
No, I'm not. I'm telling you.
You're not getting your lovely wife anything for Valentine's?
I'm telling you exactly what we're gonna do. No, that's our day.
That's it? There's no flowers or chocolates or dinner or movie or nothing?
No, nothing like that. When you've been married as long as we have, and see, we express our love for each other every day, and
of course, but John,
and in a myriad of ways. So we don't feel obligated to make a big production.
I've been married longer than you.
You have. You've been
I've been married forever.
And that is to your credit, sir.
The flowers, I've already done. The chocolates, we're going to dinner, although we're not going to go to dinner tonight. We try to avoid Valentine's Day. We're going to go see Hamilton next week. Yeah, you got to do those things.
Well, and
we're not going to Sam's Club.
Right, and every relationship is different. And here's the key to a successful relationship: know what makes your wife happy.
That's true.
Your wife clearly appreciates those things, and that's kind of how you guys roll, and you know that. My wife just appreciates the gift of time, and we're going to spend some time together, and that's the way.
You found a keeper, my friend. You found a keeper.
You don't have to tell me, but you don't have to tell me. I mean, we're
jewelry. Nah, she don't need that. Just get the big bulk of the paper towels at Sam's Club.
That's what we're gonna save. We're gonna save money today, Greg, and that's
good for you.
That's romantic as it gets. So.
Good for you.
No, I'm having fun with it, but no, that's the key. Whatever your wife likes to do. If she likes fancy dinners and rose petals in the bathtub and all that stuff, that's wonderful. But if it's just about spending time together or having breakfast together, some simple stuff, a lot of people are like that too. And you just whatever it is, just do it.
What did you think of? I don't know if you heard it as you were driving in. I said it's one of those deals where, first of all, it's a made-up holiday. It's a Hallmark holiday, right? It's not a national holiday. Hallmark has made billions because of this. And that's fine. That's fine. Cards and things like that and everything else that goes with Valentine's Day. It's great. We celebrate. I celebrate it. But it's not a national holiday. It's not observed nationally. We don't have, the schools aren't off. The people are working. But it's weird because I opened up the show and I said to Elijah, do you just blanket throw out Happy Valentine's Day? Like, Valentine's Day is one of those deals where it's like you say it to your wife or your husband, a loved one, your kids. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm like throwing it out there to, John and Bartlett. Happy Valentine's Day. It's kind of like strange.
No, I agree with you. I don't. I certainly when I go to work tonight and when I go to my game tonight, I'm not gonna. When I see my friends, I'm not gonna wish them Happy Valentine's Day. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna say Happy Valentine's Day to Coach Harrington at Briarcrest, for example. I'm not gonna do that. No, I agree with you. It's just for people to tell the people they love. I think it's not like Merry Christmas. It's not like Happy New Year. No, I agree with you on that.
Exactly. Like Monday, you're not going to go up to somebody and go, "Hey, Happy President's Day."
No, Monday I'm going to go up to everybody and say Happy Goat Day. It's Michael Jeffrey Jordan's birthday, February 17th.
How old is MJ?
Like 63, maybe.
He's around
64.
my age.
Yeah, he's around your age. I think he was born in 62, 63.
I was born in 61.
We can, what year was that year he hit the shot against Georgetown? Was that 83?
Yes.
So he was probably about 20 then. So he's probably about 62.
Yeah, I think so. Well, he's gearing up for this weekend because you know what this weekend is. And don't say the NBA All-Star Weekend. He don't care about that.
I don't care
Daytona.
About it. Daytona slipped up on me this year.
He's big in the racing as a team. Michael Jordan is huge. Yeah, being from Tobacco Road and all that. NASCAR's in their blood. Racing's in their blood.
I know Brad Daugherty was into cars there for a while, wasn't he?
Brad Daugherty was a car owner, broadcaster.
Yeah, broadcaster.
Yes,
right? He does commentary or did comment. Does he still do it?
I think he does, but I'm not sure. I don't watch it as much as I used to. I'm going to try to watch the 500 on Sunday. I had a baseball game for Memphis that I was going to do on Sunday. They've moved it twice already. It's going to be Monday. Yeah. So I'm going to be able to watch the 500 and watch the All-Star games on Sunday night. Give it a chance. See what happens.
I'm not going to do that.
I know. See, it's different now. The format's different.
Yeah.
And it could end up being where Zach Edey and Jalen Wells' rising star team advances, and then who knows how crazy it can get playing Jaren Jackson Jr.'s team, which is Team Kenny Smith, in the final of the NBA All-Star Game. Adam Silver, bless his heart, they're trying. They're trying to figure something out, but it's bad.
Trying the patience of a lot of fans actually with that too. I mean,
I know, and the players. A lot of players don't like this format.
I'm just afraid. I'm just afraid. With my concern with the new format is instead of having one game where nobody tries, now you're going to have 3 games where nobody tries. but
it could be worse. It could be the NFL Pro Bowl game.
Right, but yeah, enjoy it. Enjoy your Sunday with whatever you're doing. But yeah, February 17th, Michael Jeffrey Jordan birthday. It's interesting too. Jim Brown also born February 17th, and
wow,
that is a rare confluence of greatness for one birthday there.
Maybe another national holiday. We don't have enough going on in February.
Well, everything's going to be closed anyway, so that's the thing.
Oh yeah, it is President's Day, right? Okay.
I'm just going to be celebrating Goat Day. Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Happy birthday to the legend.
There you go. Yeah, you got to put things in priority. Washington, Lincoln, the presidents. Screw them. This is all about Michael Jeffrey Jordan Jr. What's his name?
Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
I got it right. You know why I hesitated there? Growing up, and there's a lot of things I don't remember. There's a lot of things I do remember, stupid things that are meaningless. We had a kid in our class in 5th grade, Michael Joseph Jeffrey Jordan Jr. That was his name.
Yeah. Yeah, I grew.
That's why I get it mixed up sometimes with Michael's full name, MJ.
I went to elementary school with a kid named Michael Jordan too. He had blonde, white kid, blonde hair, nice kid.
So similar to MJ.
We were friends. Yeah,
he had hops and everything.
Well, I can't remember. he was a pretty good baseball player, but no, I mean, I'm sure there's lots of Michael Jordans around.
Oh, there's no question.
There's only one Michael Jordan.
There's only one MJ. Okay, speaking of basketball, the playoffs begin next week. So we're there for high school basketball, boys and girls. So this week is the last games of the regular season. Is there anything as far as being on the line, like some games that are more important than others? What do we got this week?
No, there's a lot of it is largely settled, Greg. Whitehaven in Whitehaven boys in 16-4A, they're going to be the top seed for that district. Really playing some great ball for Coach Willie Kemp, the former Memphis Tiger.
Yep.
I mean, he has assembled a talented squad this year. You look at their resume this year. They've beaten Bartlett, they've beaten Briarcrest, they've beaten Hillsborough out of Nashville, which is a very good team. I mean, they're if you did quads in high school, they've got some really good quad 1 wins. So they're going to be tops in that region and that district. In the boys, Bartlett has wrapped up the number 1 seed in 15-4A boys. They're playing terrific ball as well. They've won 11 games in a row.
Was it a boys score? Excuse me. Was it a boys score that I kind of glanced and I saw? You're obviously you follow John for all the scores and things like that, and it was Bartlett destroying Collierville. Was that boys or girls?
Yeah, boys. That's what I was going to say. Bartlett.
Wow.
Yeah, Bartlett's won 11 games in a row, and they're winning them in just dominating fashion. I mean, they're really clicking right now, Greg. And it's kind of like the Memphis Tigers. You wonder how long they can keep this winning streak going because you want to keep that momentum going and hopefully get to the state tournament and continue to play that well through 3 games of the state tournament. But yeah, no, they've won 11 games in a row. They've won those games by an average of almost 34 points to game.
Holy smokes.
Per game. And that score you're referring to Tuesday night was Bartlett 92. Collierville 36. So that was a TKO. That one was over early.
What's happened to Collierville?
Well, they're just not as good as Bartlett. I mean, they're a pretty decent team.
I would say so.
Yeah, no, Bartlett, Greg, they've got size, they've got depth. I mean, they're so deep. I mean, they've really got 10 guys, 11 guys maybe that the coach can put out there and not worry about.
Are they a favorite to win it all, John? To win the state title?
I would say they're definitely a favorite. Them. Whitehaven, obviously, because when they played head-to-head, Whitehaven won the game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Whitehaven is super talented, too. They're maybe not as deep as Bartlett, but, starting five for starting five, I mean, they're both pretty equal when it comes to that. So, yeah, I think most observers around the state would point at Whitehaven. They would point at Bartlett and probably Hillsborough as well. Hillsborough has a really good player named Cortez Graham. He leads them, so their quality as well. They came in here over the holidays and beat a good Houston team, which I saw. So I like Hillsborough's team.
How about any of the smaller and then in the privates?
Yeah, smaller schools. I think in 2A is going to be really interesting because I think Fairleigh has a chance to make some noise this year. They've put together a really nice season. They're state ranked. Last time I checked, I think they were 19-5. AJ Polk, Brandon Chapman over there at Fairleigh. They got a couple of dudes that can really go, and and it's been a long time since you would think about Fairleigh as a state basketball contender. I mean, you go back to obviously the late Sylvester Ford and his son Deuce Ford and Marlon Towns and that era, Corey Beck and Dwight Stewart.
Great players.
Before them, great players in the late 80s and early 90s. And, yeah, so Fairleigh has a chance to be back in 2A. But at some point they're going to have to probably go through Memphis Business Academy, the team that we've talked before on this show on Fridays this season. So, yeah, I think those two teams might be on a collision course in 2A. In 1A, Mace, the continued growth of the Mace athletic department, state championships and state champion in football this year. And their boys basketball team is really, really good too. So I think they've got a chance to make it in single A as well. But, Greg, as you know, there's such a depth of basketball talent in Memphis that anything can happen once these playoffs start, and it's going to be really interesting. Once the district tournament and then the region tournament after that gets started, and to remind everybody of the format, you want to finish in the top 4 of the district tournament in order to advance to the region tournament, because the region tournament is where the real money starts being made.
Absolutely. And then real quick in the private,
yeah, I mean the private, I like Briarcrest, of course, with Fred Smith, Mr. Basketball finalist named this week, Fred Smith.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you about that in a second.
Yeah, along with okay, well we'll save that, but Briarcrest I like. They're 20-4. They lost 4 starters off of last year's state championship team, and then a few weeks ago their point guard got injured too. But they've been able to keep it together mainly because of Fred and what he can bring to the table. So yeah, they're rolling. I like Briarcrest's chances. On the girls' side in private school, I like maybe Hutchison right down the street here. I think they have a chance to make it to the Final Four and make it to Cookeville for D2 girls. So yeah, a lot of fun basketball coming up. February, into February, early March is really, really the best time for high school basketball.
All right, you alluded to the Mr. and Miss Basketball finalists. You're part of that committee, right? Voting on this. So
I am.
What do we have?
Well, we have 3 finalists. So congratulations to the aforementioned Fred Smith. He's a finalist in the large private school boys classification. Briarcrest is, they've had several Mr. Basketballs in the past. Kennedy Chandler, Austin Nichols, Leslie McDonald. They've had quite the history of Mr. Basketball winners, and Fred has a chance to join that group. In Whitehaven, Taquez Butler, he's a finalist in Class 4A. So congrats to Taquez. Lots of talented kids in Class 4A, but he's in the final 3, and I think he's got a fine chance to win. And then in private school girls, large private school girls, Tyler Jones from Hutchison. Great story with Tyler. She 2022, summer of 2022, playing AAU ball. She basically destroyed her knee. Serious knee injury. It had her on the sidelines for 16 months. But now she's come back as for her senior year, leading a very good team. She's headed to New Mexico to play college basketball, and now she's a Miss Basketball finalist. So a really, really good comeback story for a really good kid.
Yeah, it's a great story. Congrats to her. Congrats to all the finalists. All right, we'll take a timeout. When we come back, look, spring sports ready to roll, right? When's baseball start? Softball start?
Baseball season and softball season is going to start right in the middle of the boys' state tournament week. So
keep you busy.
So like mid-March-ish.
All right, so I got a question about that.
Yep.
Also, some track and field news, some really, really cool news that John's writing about at the Daily Memphian. We will talk about that, plus get some thoughts on John from the Memphis Tigers' latest win and what happened today as far as the net is concerned. We'll talk about that when we return. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Andy Wise here. For 6 years, I've endorsed Pella Windows and Doors of Memphis and the Mid-South as the standard in affordable luxury. Now get this. Pella just got more affordable. 12 months, no interest, no payments on what Consumer Reports has rated the highest quality windows on the planet, plus 50% off installation. That includes consumer guarantees no other window company will ever match. You have my word. You'll make the wise choice when you choose Pella Windows and Doors of Memphis and the Mid-South.
Licensing costs, registration fees, taxes, and dealer doc fee of $899.50, which are to be paid by the consumer. Example, stock number SC12-64070, MSRP $48,840, dealer discount $4,000, $2,000 customer cash, $3,000 bonus cash, sale price $39,840, interest starts at date of purchase on approved credit, expires 3/3/25.
One sign that a bar is a great bar is their signature cocktails, and the signature cocktails at Bell Tavern really set the place apart. Maybe just a simple 3-whiskey old-fashioned with a house blend of domestic whiskeys, or a barrel-aged Manhattan with Rittenhouse Rye, Rockwell Sweet Vermouth, barrel-aged bitters, and maraschino cherries. Those are 2 of the incredible drinks you can get at Bell Tavern, Memphis's perfect downtown neighborhood bar, and there are many, many more. Combine those drinks in the friendly atmosphere, and you've got Bell Tavern. I know it's not spring yet, but it's close, and right now, it's the perfect time to start thinking and planning for your backyard entertainment. Just so happens Family Leisure is thinking that way too, with their preseason pool and patio sale. Get 2024 pricing on all above-ground pools and patio furniture. Also, secure your spot for pool installation. That way, you can go ahead and start making plans. Lots of new inventory is en route, so in-stock patio furniture is up to 70% off. You want a play gym, a trampoline, how about an outdoor kitchen to go along with that new pool? They're all on sale too. You can get spas up to $3,000 off and save even more by mentioning this ad. You do that, you'll get a $250 gift card with a pool, spa, or patio furniture purchase. Winter won't last forever. The spring will be here soon, so get ready with the preseason pool and patio sale at Family Leisure, Whit Road off I-40, where family and fun all come together. Now, back to Sports 56 Morning. On Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everybody. More John Varlas from the Daily Memphian. You can follow him on Twitter at John Varlas. So I kind of alluded to this before the commercial break about track and field and a documentary that has been put together or is being put together about the Bartlett girls track and field team.
No, it's done. It's a finished product, and it's a really cool story, Greg. Because I got to walk the red carpet this week.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you wear a tux and tails and a top hat?
I did not. I told the coach at Bartlett he invited me, and I said yes, I'll be glad to come on the condition that I don't have to dress up.
That's cool.
Yeah, there wasn't actually a red carpet, but it was a movie premiere,
right?
And it was a documentary movie. A young man here in Memphis, really, really, really nice, sharp. Creative, talented young guy named Josh Tate. He owns a company here in Memphis named Halo Vision Media.
Shout out Josh Tate.
Shout out Josh Tate, and former football player at Kirby High School too, by the way. But he owns his media company, and through his role as videographer, he recorded all the Bartlett High School track meets over the course of the season, practices and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the story of it is going into the sectional meet last year to the meet that qualifies you for the state tournament. The Bartlett girls, their 400-meter relay team had the second best time in the state, and the 800-meter relay team had the first best time in the state. I might have those reversed, but they were first and second in each of those races. Well, top 4 qualify for the state. Well, you figure if you're first in one and you're second in the other, you're guaranteed to make it to state, right? Well, in one of the races, they have a bad exchange on the bad pass on the exchange. They get disqualified, so not going to state in that race. Then they come back for the other race, the 4x100, and one of the girls falls down. So they're not going.
Geez.
So they're not going to state in any of the races where they have dominating the season. Exactly. So so they're all upset. Understandably, distraught, frustrated, everything you can think about these girls. But then after the high school season, they have this event in Oregon called the Nike Nationals, where the top teams qualify based on your times throughout the season. Well, these girls who were so upset that they didn't qualify for state in either of their favorite events, they end up qualifying for the Nike Nationals, and they go out and they win national championships, not state championships. They go out and win national championships in both of the races that they failed to qualify.
Holy smokes!
So Josh.
So he went out there with them, and all that?
Josh has chronicled all this. It's a really good redemption story. The girls on the team are Asia Bolden, Jasmine McClellan, Dior Carney, and I'm blanking on the last girl's name, and I'm so sorry.
I can't believe you remember 3 of the 4.
I'm blanking
off the top of your head.
Somebody texted in, and Greg, you read it later. I'm sorry. She's a really nice young lady.
Is this?
It's a redemption story, and it's just incredible what they were able to do. Picking it up after the disappointment.
I know everything is not the same, and I know it's a different sport, but is this kind of got that Manassas-esque feel to it? The award-winning Manassas high school football team documentary?
Yeah, I've never seen that documentary.
Oh, it's incredible.
But that, I mean, it's so I can't say if it has the same feel, but it's just a feel-good redemption story. You got the moral. The name of the movie is called The Press too, and the title of that is taken to where you have a disappointing moment, but you press forward. You just keep pressing.
It's a great lesson to learn.
There's always something better around the corner, and God works in mysterious ways. Greg, these girls didn't win the state championship, but they got an even better prize. They got 2 national championships. All 4 girls are back, to compete this spring for the high school season. So hopefully this year they can get that state championship, and then who knows what they do. Maybe
what a great story.
Maybe they can go back to nationals and repeat. And I'm so flustered that I forgot the last girl's name.
It's okay, John.
So somebody texted in, but
redemption with a capital
story.
R. Great story. And you've written about it at the DM, right?
Okay. I wrote a preview story. It's a really, really, really well done movie. It's called The Press, and if you get a chance to see it, hopefully at some point it'll be on YouTube or whatever, and maybe the public can see it. But we saw it Tuesday night, and it was a lot of fun to see it on the big screen, see these girls on the big screen, these track meets, these familiar locations, Bartlett and Collierville, where they have all these races. It was a lot of fun. It was really well done.
Okay, a couple of things before we let you go, and I think we may have touched on it last week. Will you put together a preseason poll for baseball, high school baseball?
Not a poll.
Not a poll. Okay, so again, I think I asked you this before, but give me who you think would be going into the season your top 4 or 5.
Well, I mean, usual suspects. I mean, Briarcrest is coming off a state championship, and they've got some talented kids returning. Christian Brothers with Jason Mott.
Right.
They're in the same league with Briarcrest. They look loaded with young talent. I mean, I'm really excited to see Christian Brothers this year. And then the big public schools, obviously Houston with Ryan Mitchell and Collins Day. Collierville, looks super strong. I mean, I've seen Collierville nationally ranked in some of these preseason polls, and Collierville is interesting. They're going to go to play in that big in-season tournament that they have in North Carolina over there in Cary, North Carolina. I forgot the name of it, but it's a really prestigious.
Cary's a big baseball town.
So Collierville's been invited to take part in that. So Collierville's going to be really good. Arlington's going to be tough. Interesting thing with Arlington, they're one of the stars from last year's team, Jack Hibbard, who's now a freshman at Arkansas State. He's going to be a weekend starter this weekend for Arkansas State. So, I mean,
nice.
Shows the quality of talent they got, where you walk in as a freshman and, he's drawing a weekend start right off the bat. So, yeah, it's going to be a good baseball season. But, yeah, in terms of, like, ranking or anything, I'm not going to probably do anything like that. More just, like, teams to watch and storylines and that type of thing.
All right. And then the Tigers, obviously you're keeping an eye on what's going on with Memphis last night, taking care of business. A big spurt late in that first half, put that game away, put it on ice. And, unfortunately they didn't take a 24-point lead and turn it into 30, but they still won by 15 on the road. So I asked this question to start the show, where would they be in the net today? Now, yesterday when we started the show, they were 45. And then somehow they ended up at 44. So they were 44. I just saw Jason Munns tweet this out. So they were 44, I guess, technically. They won by 15 on the road. Now, it was against a 195 net rated team in South Florida. They didn't drop, but they didn't move up. They're still at 44.
Just got a call. Peyton Miller is the fourth girl from
Peyton
that
Miller,
Bartlett
thank
team,
you so much.
You feel good now?
Thank you, caller. Yeah, I wanted to say Morgan, and I know that wasn't right. So, yeah, Peyton Miller, Asia Bolden, Jasmine McClellan, Dior Carney. 4 great girls, 4 amazing athletes. And yeah, if you ever get a chance anywhere on any platform to check out their story, please do so. I mean, it's really cool. They gave really good interviews. I mean, really good perspective on failing, and then the mental. Track is such a mental game, and to hear these young high school kids talk about it on that level is really, really illuminating.
Yes, and thank you. How good are our listeners, by the way?
No, they're the best.
I mean, you asking for anything. Can I get a recipe for chocolate chip cookies? It's coming.
I can see the poor girl's face in my head on the big screen, and I just couldn't call her name up.
Yeah,
so thank you, caller.
But that point again, with the Olympic sports, track and field, things like that, swimming. I mean, just one little thing, you're off one little bit. It's the difference between winning and losing, and we know with the Olympics, with the pressure of winning medals, but this is also pressure to a certain degree, right? State championships and things of that nature, and to bounce back. I think it's a great story. So check that out. Check out, if you can, the documentary, but also the story that John wrote about the Bartlett girls track and field team at the Daily Memphian, and all his other great stories. Again, approaching the final week of the regular season in high school basketball, and then the playoffs right around the corner and all the spring sports starting. John will have you covered. You can listen to him each and every Friday right here on Sports 56 Mornings, and make sure to follow him on Twitter at John Varlas. Again, he's brought to you by the great folks at Shoot 360 Memphis. Thank you, John.
Go out and spread love today, everybody. Thank you.
He's the love guru. He is John Varlas. We'll take a break. When we come back, we open up hour number 2, talking some Cardinals. Spring training is underway. We'll head down to Florida and talk with Katie Wu from The Athletic. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Example, stock number SC1264070, MSRP 48840, dealer discount 4000, 2000 customer cash, 3000 bonus cash, sale price 39840, interest starts at date of purchase on approved credit, expires 3/3/25.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Burgess. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous? Well, there's some things about the Rendezvous I'm going to talk about. For example, we make it really easy to park. We have valet parking right at Monroe Street in our alley. We also want to make it easy for people to get to doors. You can now park in our alley right at our front door and put your flashers on. People also forget that we take reservations for 6 or more. And we have a wonderful party room upstairs that can accommodate people for rehearsal dinners, birthday parties, reunions, graduations. Our rooms seat between 25 and 275 people. And everything at the rendezvous can be packed to go. But we also do catering. See our menu online, and we can even deliver for groups of 15 or more. So if you have any questions, always feel free to call us at the rendezvous because we answer our phone ourselves. You'll never hear, please listen carefully for our menu has changed. Press 1 for reservations, press 2 for hours, press 3 for catering, or if you know your party's 9-digit extension number and the first 3 letters of their mother's maiden name, dial it back. Come see us at the rendezvous. Since 1948, the rendezvous.
This traffic report on Sports 56 is brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Memphis and the Mid-South Pella Windows. The standard is affordable luxury.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Just a couple of minor accidents out here up to this point. It's trying to build on 40 westbound coming in from Fayette County into Shelby County as you work your way past 269 Chambers, Chapel, Canada Road, all the way to Sycamore View Road. Now, it's loading up a little bit more volume in the last few minutes up through South Haven as that traffic builds up from the south on 55 northbound up from DeSoto County all the way into South Memphis. Weimer's Jewelry, 7525. Highway 64 is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store right here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
This is Original Sports Station. We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis.
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
Diamonds are forever.
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 8:02 the time. Hour number 2 here on Sports 56 mornings, the Friday, February 14th. 2025 edition. Yes, love is in the air. Greg Gaston, Elijah Seegers. Eli is off today. Coming up in just a few moments, we'll talk a little Cardinals baseball. Spring training underway in Florida. Katie Wu will join us from The Athletic. Then at 8:25, Matt Dillon, the Tiger basketball report. The Tigers knocking off South Florida yesterday, 80-65 to improve to 21-4, 11-1 in conference play. Then we'll take your calls and your texts. We got 10 in a row. The game show that has swept the nation. That'll come up at 9:05. Currently, quite cold outside as you get your Friday start at 29 degrees, cloudy skies. We're looking at a high today of only 52, but we will see some sun. Then tonight, cloudy skies, followed by thunderstorms late, may produce some hail, overnight rain, and it looks like a rain affair for Saturday. With a high temperature, though, reaching 69, but thunderstorms in the forecast. And then Sunday, the high temperature is only 39 with an overnight low of 23 as the temperature plummets. And we will have a little sun and a little bit of clouds for your Sunday. Of course, Monday is a holiday. Many of you will have a 3-day weekend. So certainly enjoy that. We will be back on Monday. We will have a brand spanking new show starting at 7 a.m. One thing I wanted to correct myself from the interview with John was I talked about Manassas and the documentary, and it won awards. I couldn't remember all the details. I think I may have said they won a state championship. They didn't win a state championship. They were a team that was notorious for losing for years and years and years and years. And then what Coach Bill Courtney and that staff was able to do with those players who went through their ups and downs and all the trials and tribulations of inner city and coming from poor families and trying to be able to stay on the straight and narrow and play football and then come together, the camaraderie. It was just a great documentary. And to hear about John Varlas talking about the documentary about the Bartlett girls track and field team. Now, a little bit different story in the circumstances and all that, different sport obviously, but still a documentary about local athletes from here in the area. That's fantastic. I love those documentaries. I always have, so it's cool to find out about that one. Hour 2 of the program brought to you by the great folks at James Gaddis Jewelers. Again, Valentine's Day. You haven't done anything yet for a loved one? Jewelry makes an awful lot of sense. They got some great deals, some inexpensive but beautiful gifts for you, waiting for you at James Gaddis Jewelers at 4900 Poplar between Mendenhall and St. Nick, and on the web at gaddisjewelers.com. They are full-service jewelers with 2 bench jewelers ready to serve you. So whether it's a locket, some kind of necklace, or earrings for Valentine's Day, or that engagement ring down the road if you're getting engaged or plan to in 2025, make sure James Gaddis Jewelers is one of the jewelers that you check out for those beautiful engagement rings, wedding rings, and personally designed wedding sets. It's James Gaddis Jewelers. They're open Monday through Friday, 10 to 5, Saturday, 10 to 4, closed on Sunday. And every Monday and Friday, they bring you the Memphis Sports Fact. Did you know, despite it being incredibly cold outside, the University of Memphis Tigers baseball team begins the 2025 season today. College baseball begins all around the country. The Tigers will play a doubleheader against Southeast Missouri State, SEMO if you will, starting at 2:05 at FedEx Park at Ron Fogelman Field. Now, because of the weather and the forecast, kind of a strange series. They're going to play 2 on Friday. They're not going to play Saturday or Sunday. And then SEMO's going to return to Memphis, and they're going to play the third game of the series on Monday at 2:05. Again, James Gaddis Jewelers, go see them today. Tell them you heard it here on Sports 56 Morning. So it's cold here. Hopefully it's nice and warm where Katie Wu is. She covers the St. Louis Cardinals for The Athletic. She's the co-host of the Card Territory podcast, does an outstanding job in covering the St. Louis Cardinals, and she is with the team in Florida for spring training. You can follow Katie on Twitter at Katie J. Wu. Hey, Katie.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. Tell me it's nice and warm and rub it in if it is down in Florida.
Oh, I can't say enough about the weather. It didn't. As soon as I got off the plane coming from St. Louis, I felt, I don't know, like a weight was lifted off my shoulder. It definitely feels like baseball season. I saw the sun. Things are looking up, guys.
Yeah, I know every once in a while Florida will get the cold, and all of a sudden we have the stories about the oranges and the grapefruits freezing on the vines, but that's very rare. That's why these teams during the winter head south to Florida or out west to Arizona. But the Cardinals, this is just strange. They did basically nothing. And there are Cardinals fans by the hundreds, by the thousands, I should say, in this Memphis area. And they are concerned, Katie. Are you surprised that really not much was done to add to this roster?
I am not. I am certainly not surprised by how the free agent market shook out for the Cardinals this year. I remember when John Mozeliak and Cardinals ownership first announced their intent to reset and transition the roster. In my mind, it spoke to me that the Cardinals would not be doing much of anything in free agency because that would block many players that they would like to see play in 2025. And we can get into that. But what I am surprised about is just how this whole Nolan Arenado saga has unfolded out. For the last 4 months, the Cardinals have been so vocal and, covered John Mozeliak for a very long time. He's not one that usually goes out and so publicly declares his intentions. So when he did that with Arenado, and I thought really that there must be something on the table. And there was. It was an Astros deal that Nolan decided was not for him. And 8 weeks later, it looks like he will be a Cardinal to start the year. So I think from an overall offseason point, it was certainly perplexing. It's definitely different. And where this puts the Cardinals in position for spring training, as we can get into, because I think there's a lot to unpack.
All right, so a couple of things. Obviously, it's Mo's final season. He's still making some calls, I think most of the calls, and then it will be Chaim Chaim who will take over. But he's in his lame duck year. And you're right. I said this on our show yesterday that I don't remember Mo being vocal about things. He keeps it close to the vest. So he goes out there and he says what he did about Arenado, and then lo and behold, now you're selling him to everybody that he's returning. I don't know if you've had a chance to talk to Nolan and how he feels. I would think, though, Cardinals fans are probably happy when you have a guy like Nolan Arenado that's going to be back with your team.
I would hope so. I think what really happened is just was, I think, exhausting for the fans. Was Arenado going to stay? Was he not? Is there a place out there that he could go to at this point? It doesn't look likely unless either the team or the player is willing to make concessions on their side, and it doesn't sound like either side is close to that. I think, obviously, this is not a hot take by any means. Nolan Arenado makes the Cardinals a better baseball team. The Cardinals have spun this whole narrative over the offseason on creating opportunity and runway for their young players. And the young players that they're really trying to figure out this year are Jordan Walker, Lars Nootbaar, and Nolan Gorman. Now, you can still figure that out. You can still figure out what kind of players they are and give them the long runway that they need this year with Nolan Arenado on your team. What it does do is it has a trickle-down logjam effect, and it's going to impact players like Alex Burleson, Victor Scott II, Thomas DeJacy, you go down the list. So what's being impacted here with Arenado is certainly not the Cardinals being a worse team. Obviously, that's not true. It's just some of the players that they would have liked to see early on in this transition year, they won't necessarily have consistent playing time for. Now, the good news, if you're a Cardinals fan that just wants to see winning baseball return to St. Louis, the Cardinals did not tear their roster down completely to the studs. They believe they can still compete. If they didn't believe that, they would have traded Ryan Helsley and Steven Matz and Eric Fetty. They would have done more of a complete rebuild where this is kind of like a soft launch, if you will. And I also believe that this Cardinals team can compete within the National League Central. Whether it can compete within the National League is a different story, but with Wilson Contreras staying, Sonny Gray staying, and now Nolan Arenado looking to stay, you have guys that, Mason Wynn, Brendan Donovan, who have emerged as players you can build around. And suddenly maybe you're a little bit more optimistic about the Cardinals' chances of competing, despite what was, agreeably, a disappointing offseason.
Yeah, that's certainly the half-full glass way to look at things. And you look at the National League really from the totality, and you go, yeah, can they compete with the Dodgers? Are you kidding me? I don't think anybody can compete with the Dodgers, but you may be right. I mean, the National League Central is always one that you can be competitive with. Nobody ever seems to dominate and run away with it unless it was the Cardinals in the past. So I don't know. It could be a very competitive league. I'm still not sure about the Cardinals because I didn't like the team last year. And again, you're right. They didn't break it down. It wasn't a fire sale, but they just didn't do much. And I don't want to belabor the point about Arenado, but one other question for you is, and you may or may not know the answer to this, but do you know what the game plan was if they traded Arenado at third base, unless they were going to trade for a fellow third baseman in return? Which direction were they going in with third base if Arenado was gone?
No, they were not going to trade for another third baseman. They were going to move Nolan Gorman back to third, his original position.
Okay.
So that's why, if Nolan Arenado was not here, it becomes much easier because for these young players to have that opportunity. Gorman would play third. You can put Brendan Donovan at second, or you can rotate him to left field. Thomas DeJacy can rotate through the infield. You have Lars Nootbaar bouncing around. Jordan Walker will stay in right. And then it's a true competition for Mike Ciani and Victor Scott II in center field. Now, again, with Arenado at third, you can still have these competitions, but now Gorman is going to either second or DH, and it's looking like Donovan will rotate as a super utility. There is a way to create this runway like we talked about. It's just a little bit more complicated for some of the players on the fringe or bench side of what is projecting to be the active roster come opening day.
So what are your thoughts, and you've obviously dealt with him an awful lot, but your kind of take on Ollie Marmol and DeWitt, how does he see him for the future as the skipper? I know there was a lot of talk early in the year going into the All-Star break, at least from the fans here on Sports Talk Radio, that maybe they need to get rid of Marmol. I knew it wasn't going to happen at that point, but I thought, it's not ludicrous. I mean, I just didn't think he was doing the job, but it seems like he's loved by the ownership. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. What are your thoughts on what he's done and moving forward with Ollie at the helm?
I certainly understand fans' frustrations, and, to follow up 2022 with the 2023 season, I think brought Ollie back to a 500 mark in the fans' opinion. But in 2024, the Cardinals were a winning team. Sure, it was below the standards of what the fans believe this organization is capable of. What I thought Ollie does a great job in, and what I think will be really helpful given how the roster is constructed right now, is utilizing versatility and flexibility. And there are a ton of players, we just talked about it, that are going to need to be slotted in different roles and positions in the lineup each day. And I think Ollie does a great job in that. Now, I certainly understand, when anything doesn't go according to plan, the first call is always for the manager, but I don't really think that's fair or applicable in this situation. With the Cardinals transitioning, they have an entire coaching staff with a background in player development. So, yes, that's Ollie Marmol, that's Pop Warner, that's Stubby Clapp. You also have Daniel Descalso and John Jay, who were part of the Memphis Mafia, right? Obviously, the good people of Memphis know this. What the Cardinals are trying to do is find that next Memphis Mafia. So to have a major league coaching staff with such a prominent background across the board in player development, I actually think that this is an ideal group to lead this movement. Now, if the Cardinals go out and their April and May starts to resemble the April and May of 2023, then maybe we're having a different kind of story. But right now, I think this makes a lot of sense for what the Cardinals are trying to do.
Katie Wu joining us. She covers the Cardinals for The Athletic. She's in Florida with the team as spring training is underway, and she's joining us on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest lines. All right, you mentioned some of those young players. Jordan Walker, interesting. Obviously, he came with a lot of accolades. He ended up struggling. He came to Memphis, played the bulk of the year last year in Memphis, then got recalled, and seemed, at least from afar, to be doing pretty well, getting reacclimated to the bigs. What do you see in Jordan Walker, and do you believe he'll be in the starting lineup on opening day?
I do believe that about Jordan Walker, and I believe in Jordan Walker having a bounce-back year. Look, he's 22, 23 years old, and I know the first 2 years really did not go according to plan for anyone, but let's think about what Jordan Walker has had to adjust to. He came up the Cardinal system as a third baseman. They moved him to the outfield, and after 2 months of outfield in Double-A, he had a great spring and was rewarded by coming to the big leagues, but he did this without really ever being taught how to play the outfield. The Cardinals do not have an outfield coordinator. They still don't. And Jordan essentially had to learn how to play right field on the fly at the major league level as a rookie, and that's a really, honestly, huge to ask someone of such high status as a prospect and with so much relying on the Cardinals, because in 2023, when he debuted, things did not come off to a good start. So I think for the last 2 years, Jordan has kind of been through the ringer in terms of maybe not necessarily been set up to succeed. However, talking to him in winter warm-up was a completely rejuvenated Jordan Walker. He's been working extensively with new hitting coach Brant Brown. It almost seemed like we were talking to the Jordan of when he was going through as a top prospect. Very confident, very humble, believed in himself, and was convicted in what he was doing was the right thing. The big thing for Jordan this year to watch is, can he get the ball in the air more consistently? That's what they've worked on with him for 2 years. That's going to be the big test. The defense, and that will come. I think the Cardinals are aware of how that situation started, and as long as they see gradual improvement there, that's fine. The bigger concern for them at this moment is his offense. Can he find that swing again? Can he hit the ball more consistently in the air?
All right, Katie, minus anything that has to do with Nolan Arenado, what do you think are the three biggest storylines in spring training?
I'm glad you prefaced it that way, because the biggest storyline will certainly be this weekend when position players report. I think this is going to be a pretty competitive camp. I think there are 3 areas of the roster that I'm looking at for the most competition. Well, 3.5. I like to see what Ivan Herrera and Pedro Pages looks like behind the plate, but I still think there's a way for the Cardinals to platoon that position where they don't necessarily have to have a starting catcher and a backup catcher. But the 3 areas of the roster that I'm looking at, center field, with the Cardinals wanting to find that runway and create opportunity. Could we see Lars Nootbaar competing for the center field job alongside Victor Scott and Mike Siani? We could. I'm interested to see what that will look like. I think the starting rotation is a very St. Louis Cardinals rotation. It's veteran experience led by Sonny Gray, and then you have Eric Petty, Miles Michaelis, Steven Matz, and Andre Palante in the mix to start. I would like to see if Mike McGreevy can break his way into that. I think he'll get a chance. I think if we broke camp today, he'd be the 6th starter, but I certainly think with a strong spring, he can convince his way to get up there and break into that rotation. And then I'm looking at the bullpen. The Cardinals bullpen was instrumental to their success last year. It was one of the best bullpens in the National League. You have Ryan Helsley for the 9th, and you have JoJo Romero as a setup man. Who do they have there? There are some favorites in Brian Fernandez, Matthew Liberatore, but every spring training, there's someone that nobody is talking about that all of a sudden bursts on the scene and becomes a key part of the bullpen. Last year it was Brian Fernandez. So will that be Gordon Graceffo this year? Will that be Nick Anderson, a non-roster invite that looks pretty good in his first bullpen yesterday? Could that be Riley O'Brien? We don't know, but I do think the Cardinals have a lot of internal options to make the bullpen very competitive this spring.
How strange will it be not seeing Goldie out there at first base?
It's already a little weird, but we have not seen Wilson either, so it was funny. I walked into the clubhouse on pitchers and catchers totally expecting to see Wilson Contreras, and I forgot. Not a catcher anymore. Doesn't have to be here until the weekend.
Yes, that's right.
So very, very strange. But, yeah, Goldie's presence is certainly different. The clubhouse has a much younger feel to it. I was joking around with the player that all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we became the older ones in the clubhouse because it is just filled with young players in their very early 20s, and it's definitely a different feel in there.
It's amazing how quickly that happens, right? Becoming
Life
old.
That too fast.
What about? I'm always fascinated by reading stories or seeing video of like the old timers that come back and they help instruct during training camp, whatever team it may be around Major League Baseball. Like, who is expected to be there from Cardinals lore to kind of contribute?
Well, we did see Ozzie Smith yesterday.
Oh, wow.
He comes almost every spring, and they actually have a mini field in the backfield, just infield, and it's called the Wizard of Oz, so named after Ozzie. And every now and then, especially when position players start reporting, he'll take the infielders out. He's been out there with Mason Wynn, Nolan Arenado before. So he's usually here for at least a few days. And then new this year, David Freese will be a special advisor for spring, so he gets to team up with his buddies Descalso and John Jay. And my, memory, this is the first time that he's really come back to be a spring instructor. So those two for sure. You never know who's going to pop in at spring training, though. It's always a surprise.
Yeah, one final thing for you. So I mentioned earlier, as people know, Chaim Chaim will take over for Mo. Is he kind of just waiting in the wings, or do you expect him to be vocal, talk to the media? What do you expect?
Mo's going to handle all of the media, day-to-day roster decisions. The overall, general order of operations is not changing for the St. Louis Cardinals until the end of the 2025 season. What Chaim Bloom is doing out in Jupiter is overseeing the entire revamp of the Cardinals minor leagues. And we know that this is a huge project that they've been doing. It correlates directly to their transition year. And Chaim Bloom has been very busy. He hired a new assistant general manager, 3 new directors of player development. The Cardinals have a pitching director now. They have a director of strength and performance. They have multiple new coordinators, including a catching coordinator for the first time since Yadier Molina was in the organization. Now, obviously, if Yadier Molina is in your organization, you probably don't need one, but he isn't anymore. So, yeah, he's there. The big thing that Chaim was doing over the offseason was bolstering staff on the player development side. Now they're just going to kind of see how this year goes, evaluate their players, and kind of see what they have in that next wave. And then in 2026, he'll be the one making the decisions both at the major league and minor league level.
She is Katie Woo. She covers the St. Louis Cardinals for The Athletic. She's also the co-host of the Card Territory podcast. You can follow her on Twitter at Katie J. Woo. Always great stuff from you, Katie. We thank you so much. Enjoy the great weather in Florida before you head back north.
Oh, you don't have to tell me twice. I'm definitely doing that.
We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Katie.
All right. Thanks so much.
Take care. She is a book full of knowledge when it comes to the Cardinals and Major League Baseball. Enjoy having her on the program. Corky's Ribs and Barbecue. Great option today for lunch, for dinner, this weekend. Anytime is a good time for Corky's. You can dine in at any of their 4 locations. You can carry out no-contact delivery by going through the drive-thru, or you can have any of the delivery services delivered to your home or your office. They've been serving up delicious slow-smoked barbecue for 40 years, and they've been catering that entire time. So you got an event coming up, no matter how big, they can take care of it for you. Start you out as low as $7.99 per person. When you head over for lunch, get your entree and then add a third of a rack of ribs for just $7.99. Lunch specials every day. Party packs that start at just $7.49. Located at Poplar Avenue in Memphis, Poplar Avenue in Collierville, Germantown Parkway in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Corky's Ribs and Barbecue. Open for lunch and dinner 7 days a week. When we return, it's all about the Tigers, the Tiger Basketball Report with Matt Dillon. Then we'll get to your calls and texts on the Tigers' win last night in Tampa against South Florida. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Taking care of beerness in Memphis, right on the river with Grind City Brewing and all of their great products. Look, this was a dream come true for a father and son duo. And if you have not been to that brewery right on the river, just to the north of downtown, you're really missing something special. And now you can't miss their products. Wherever you go, you see a brand new label. It's clean, it's beautiful, it's distinctive. You'll know Grind City Brewing, and of course you know their products like Poppy's Pills, that great Pilsner, or Tiger Tail, that very creative craft malt liquor. There's the new Thaddeus Amber Lager. That is absolutely a great light beer. There's the India Pale called Godhopper. It's outstanding. And then there's the Belga, the Belgian-style wheat ale. They keep bringing hits at Grind City Brewing.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roofing. I have been told that my ads are all business and I should share some of my personality. Okay, I love tongue twisters, like the one about the terrific tasting toast by Taste Tester Toaster, or Big Black Bugs, Bleed Blue Blood, and of course Sally and her seashells. Or of course the ever-present I'm a mother pheasant plucker, I pluck mother pheasants. Okay, enough of that. If you want an honest, fair, reasonable roofing, siding, or gutter estimate, call Five-Ash Roofing at 367-0050. That's exactly what you'll get. No empty promises, no high-pressure sales tactics, and no fast-talking salesman trying to convince you that today and only today is the best day for you to get a new roof. For the record, the best day to get a new roof is when you're ready for one. Five-Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Hello, sports fans out there. Walker Taylor here with the Germantown and Collierville Commissary. We just celebrated our 43rd year in business, and I would like to thank our fantastic customers and especially our loyal staff. Time has flown by. We now have a second location, Poplar and Houston Levy in Collierville. Catering is a specialty of ours. 50 to 5,000, no job too small, no job too big. Full service or self-service. We also have a party room in Collierville that is great for rehearsal dinners, business meetings, you name it, we'd love to have you. Also, our barbecue party packs start at $8.75 a person. Barbecue, beans, slaw, bun sauce, including serving utensils. Especially great for tailgating with football season coming up. Commissary restaurants also believe in giving back to the community. Possibly you have been approached by somebody selling a barbecue six-pack coupon for fundraising. Cheerleading groups, church groups, anything to help a worthy cause. Holidays are near. Smoked hams and smoked turkeys will be on the pit before you know it. Come see us at Germantown and Collierville Commissary. Also check us out at commissarybarbecue.com.
Are you getting the lowest possible rate on your mortgage? At Southern Security, we offer low rates, flexible terms, no PMI, and unbeatable service. Refinance your current mortgage with the Mid-South's best mortgage lender. For more information, visit us online at southernsecurity.org or call our office at 901-452-7900. Southern Security is an equal housing lender. Southern Security is a proud supporter of the University of Memphis Athletics, federally insured by the NCUA.
It's your time to upgrade into a new ride from Gossett Volkswagen on the Pike. 2025 Jetta S, buy it now, $20,499. 2024 Taos SE, $249 a month or $28,616. More front and rear headroom and longer warranty than Crosstrek or CX-30. 2024 Tiguan S, more cargo space, torque, and warranty than Escape or RAV4. Only $279 a month. Plus all 2024 Atlas SE LP conditions, $5,000 off MSRP. So get to Gossett Volkswagen today, 1875 Covington Pike, online, GossettVWMemphis.com. And remember, no reasonable offer will be refused. Gossett's where we're charging forward and charging less every day. If you want it, we got it at Gossett Volkswagen.
7,500 miles, 3,100 down, Taos, RMO 56,983, MSRP 31,939, Tiguan, RM 144,331, MSRP 31,363, Jetta SMO 45,444, Atlas 3,500 bonus customer cash 1,500, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 895, excludes tax title and license, see dealer for complete details, offer valid through end of the month with approved credit, dealer stock only.
Miss Rebel, yeah, Miss Rebel, yeah, online radio show is back on WATV Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Nancy Porter with 24/7 Sports. Your Ole Miss defensive captain Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC sports ball, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Garvey from kickoff to first throw to extra innings. Your Ole Miss sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South sports station. Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Working with a couple of minor accidents out here. It's finally starting to load up with a little bit more volume on 40 westbound as you come in from Fayette County into Shelby County all the way down to Sycamore View Road. Still a little bit busy coming off that ramp from Austin P onto I-40. Still moving at the moment over from West Memphis on 40 East across the Hernando de Soto Bridge. Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64, is your full-service family-owned jewelry store right here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
Don't you just love it?
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back to the program, halfway home on this Friday edition of Sports 56 Mornings, the Valentine's Day edition. Greg Gaston, Elijah Seegers. Eli is off today. We're getting you set for the holiday weekend with Monday being President's Day. The Tigers last night knocked off South Florida in Tampa by the score of 80-65 to improve to 21-4, 11-1 in the conference. And even a 15-point road win does nothing in the eyes of the numbers with the net because Memphis stays the same. They're 44th in the net. And it's time for the Tiger Basketball Report with Matt Dillon. It's brought to you by Napa Cafe, Central Barbecue, Binswanger Glass, and Colonial Hardware. Matt is the Tigers basketball radio analyst, and he joins us each week during the Tiger basketball season to talk about UM hoops. And I know, Matt, it was a late, or should I say early morning arrival back in Memphis for you. So thank you so much for getting up early with us.
No problem. You guys do it every day, man. I know how it is. But, yeah, it was interesting. I walked in about 3 o'clock in the morning and woke up the wife and the dog, and everybody was kind of not happy about it. But
what are you going to do? Neighbors' lights
right,
are going
you got to do what you
and-
have to do.
Exactly.
That's exactly right. The other thing, it was like 74 degrees when we left there, and it was like 30 here. So it was a shock when we got off that airplane coming in. But, hey, you won and got the road win. That's very important because you just can't slip up to any of these teams now in the league because it could cost you a seed line. And when you look at the standings, for all purposes, really, Greg, to be honest, I mean, if the Tigers don't win the league, I'm going to be shocked now. They're in position now to put the thing away. So the people thought UAB was going to win it, and they're not going to win it. So the Tigers are well on their way to win the regular season championship, and certainly well deserved. And a lot of these guys have, sacrificed and done some things this year to really put this team in a position to win that regular season championship, and it's really nice to see for them.
Absolutely, it was a nice road win. I know it's a South Florida team that's not been playing well. Look, it was tragic for them before the season even started with the loss of their coach, and it's been tough for them to bounce back from it. But Memphis, it's interesting. You get a 15-point road win, and again, my eyes tell me there's not 43 teams better than Memphis or have a better resume. And on Saturday, we may find a little bit of an answer to that question of whether it's resume versus the analytics, the ratings, whether it be net, KenPom, whatever, because you're the 14th ranked team in the nation. Your resume is outstanding, but yet you're 44th in the net. On Saturday is the first reveal from the selection committee of the top 16 teams,
right.
So all the way through the four line. And you have like a Joe Lunardi who has Memphis as a 5. You have Jerry Palm, a friend of our show who's on with us each and every week, who has them as a 4. So I'm hoping to see them, Matt, like 15th or 16th. If we do, then you can almost breathe a sigh of relief that they're looking at that resume too and not depending too much on the analytics.
I agree, Greg. And the thing that worries me a little bit, is the human factor who's going to enter into this thing. I think I told you guys last week I was worried about it. You get in that room, and people look at that schedule of the American, and, oh, yeah, it was a great resume non-conference, but look at all these teams that are playing right now. Human nature, to me, takes over sometimes. There's got to be a little bit of that problem, I think, because people say, oh, they're not playing anybody right now, and, hey, we'll just put them, 5th or whatever. But, it's a bad fight to have to do with this league. And I'll be honest with you, I told you guys before, Greg, they need to do something in this league about basketball. They're going to have to make some kind of adjustments. I mean, it's just, think about it. Every year you would have to do this almost. Go out and get a great non-conference schedule, which is great because people want to see the games. But then you got the pressure of going into the league and having to win every time out. And it's very similar, to when Coach Calipari was here. The league was probably a little bit better then, obviously, and there's some more teams are in there that that were better than
right
yes, now. But
absolutely.
But gosh, when your league's 11th in the net, I mean, you just have to do something to get this thing cranked up.
Let me say this, Matt. You remember it wasn't that long ago where Greg Sankey made it a mandate in the SEC that basketball has to be better, and now you're looking at like historical goodness with this team, for a lack of better terms. But they had the money. Every one of these programs had the money to put into the basketball program, despite putting in millions and millions and millions into the football program. They still had money to be able to do that. It's one thing to demand it. The other thing is to execute it. I don't know what Tim Pernetti can say. Hey, Tulane, you got to put more money in your basketball program. Hey, South Florida, you need to do this, you need to do that. Well, Tim, how about giving us some more money or getting us some more money? So I don't know what the long-term answer is for this conference, but Florida Atlantic had a good run for a couple of years, and that was it. And the rest, UAB is a disappointment so far, in my opinion. Everything else is trash. And then you have Memphis. Memphis is the gem. You're looking through garbage, and you find this thing that's sparkling, and it's a diamond, and it's Memphis. And yet Memphis had the year they had last year. But this year, it's a whole different ballgame. And you're right, Matt. The American is killing this team. It's absolutely killing them, because to me, when you get behind closed doors, like you said, human nature to go, oh, they play in a crap conference. Well, again, don't forget what they did against Connecticut and Michigan State and Clemson and Ole Miss and Virginia. You cannot forget that. So therefore, I think it's ludicrous. I know the numbers add up to 44, but I think it's crazy that they're that low. I think it's more where the writers have them in the polls, or the coaches have them in the polls, in the top 15. That's what I think Memphis is. That's why if they run the table, if they're not a 4 seed, I think that would be extremely disappointing, and it also worries me, and it always has, about the future of the mid-majors, of getting the benefit of the doubt when it's with our eyes that we could see that this team is a damn good team.
You're definitely correct about that, and to me, if they don't get a high seed that they deserve, man, there's going to be a lot of controversy about this. And when you think about what this team has been able to accomplish, they got them together, and it's a little bit different. This team is really different the year before. I mean, they're really determined. Last night, just think about it. They came out and started a little bit slow, but when Tyrese gets cranked up, and I tell you what, he gutted it out last night. And when we had him on the postgame show, and he said he's still not 100%. He said he really hasn't been all year, which is interesting because he's been going through this since last summer, having some problems with that knee. And he gutted it out, but he does so many things for this team, Greg, that a lot of people don't see. I mean, he makes plays. He gets them into the offense. He makes big shots when you need him. He lets Harry be off the ball where he can really do a lot of things. You can set him up through screens or letting him, go off the dribble or whatever. So he really a very humble guy. I mean, he said, hey, I'm here to win. And I'm happy for these guys that, they haven't won other places, some of them, and now they came to Memphis and they've had a chance to, to do that. And another thing, I think Coach Hardaway, he seems more relaxed now to me than any time I've seen him during his tenure. Mm-hmm. And that's important.
I think it's extremely important. And the story that Jeff Borzello, I don't know if you had a chance to read his story. Yes. Yeah, it kind of it's basically on the team, but it's really on Penny as well, and how he's evolved as a coach. Matt Dillon joining us for the Tiger Basketball Report, brought to you by Napa Cafe, Ben Swanger Glass, Central Barbecue, and Colonial Hardware. What I really liked about last night is they crashed the boards, and they did it really well. They out-rebounded South Florida 51-34. And when I look at the individual rebound totals, you have 4, 6, 6, 7, 7, 9. Only Colby Rogers was under 4. He had 2, but still multi-rebounds from Rogers. Everybody that played did a really good job rebounding.
Boy, they really did. That's a season high of rebounds, 51. Think about it. Look at the offensive rebounds. That's 16. So
yes,
they hit the glass, and they were physical, which I wanted to see on the road. Again, you go back to Temple and you circled out when they were not physical. And I think that kind of woke these guys up a little bit. Hey, we got to get with this. And, they're going to go into a challenge on Sunday. And, of course, the traveling is a little tough right now. It's hard to get to Wichita. Not an easy place to get to, and the weather's been, kind of dicey up there. Snow can happen any time. So one of the things, but I really believe, Greg, that for this league to be successful, Wichita State needs to be good because they've got a tradition. They've been good in the past. They were in the Missouri Valley, and when they first went in, and they changed coaches and everything else. But they got a great fan base. They'll be there tomorrow, regardless of their record. They show up. Their attendance is really good. They got this game going to be circled again. They're looking to, hey, we can knock them off. And to be honest now, Coach Mills is, did a good job really to Oral Roberts. I mean, I thought he really got their program back to, some prominence in NCAA, but he's struggling right now to get this team really rolling. They've changed their lineup a little bit back and forth, trying to search even late in the year to get some consistency. They've won some games and they'll lose 2 or 3, and then they'll win one. So last night they got a win. So Wednesday, and so they're there and ready, and they've been rested a little bit longer. So it should be an interesting situation. But getting back to the problem about the league, the problem, one thing you have too, and money is really no question one of the big problems. We know that. But secondly, you go and ask these coaches, hey, you got to toughen your schedule up. Well, some guys are going to say, hey, man, I'm in their second or third year. If I don't win a certain amount of games, I'm going to be out of here probably.
Right,
so
right.
That's a hard thing to get to do. See, that's one of the really difficult things about this. And it goes back to, the money is one. And second, these coaches, and we've had a lot of coaching changes in this league too. So some of them aren't stable. And that's a real problem for the commissioner to try to go in and get that thing changed. I would not want that problem on my plate right now, to be honest with you.
Well, you're not going to get home and homes with big time elite teams.
Right. When
you're Rice and East Carolina, you got to play mid majors, win those games. You can't have bad losses like UAB. It's got some really bad losses on their resume. So that's the problem. And if you are able to, let's say, strike a deal, maybe you play at an elite team, you're going to lose that game anyway. So it's not like it's going to help you. Maybe it helps your strength of schedule, certainly. But overall, these teams, there's no chance they're going to be high rated in the net unless they win the bulk of their games. And that's a problem. They're not beating small teams, let alone elite teams. So I don't know if it's resume. I think what they got to do is to be able to throw some money into their NIL and then be able to pluck a player or two. Now, once they get that player and that player performs well, then somebody else is going to take that player away. Memphis right now is taking away players from the conference. Look around, right?
Are.
With the Memphis they're plucking players from Wichita State, Haggerty from Tulsa, Carter from UTSA. Memphis is the big bear meanie, right? They're the ones who have the NIL that could take from those players that evolve at another team within the conference. I'm sure the conference is like, yeah, it's nice to have Memphis, but my gosh, they're taking our players.
Yeah, and I'm sure the other coaches aren't too happy about that either. That's one point. Here's the thing about it, though. There's some pieces in this league. There's some good players.
Oh, there are.
But there's just not enough. There's just not enough of them, Greg. That's one of the problems. You just don't have enough depth to really go out and compete nationally. And somebody's going to have to step up. I thought Temple maybe would do it, but now that they, progress backwards a little bit.
Yeah.
Once when you think somebody's going to do something, it doesn't come out the way you think it's going to come out. But, again, the league tournament, the last year down at Dickey's, the Tigers are going to be prohibitive favorites to win that thing. So, I just don't know how the mix is going to come out. And, of course, you're dealing with football, too. That's another, question. The NIL for some of these schools, too. How much you put in football, how much you put in basketball. And that's a really tough question for an AD to have to balance that.
Right.
Problem, and it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, and of course, with the conference tournament, it's a second chance for all these teams. So who knows? Maybe one of them can find a way and they can get hot and battle Memphis, because the only way a team outside of Memphis is getting in, as you know, is winning the conference tournament. So they got that to look forward. Forward to. It's a new lease on life for every team in the country that's not going to qualify as an at-large, right? That's your only chance is to win the tournament. That's why these tournaments are so important. They're money makers. It's sad, though, sometimes when you have a league that's only going to probably produce one, and you have a team that's really, really good. They dominate the conference, and then they lose in the final of the conference tournament, and they don't get an at-large. They go to the NIT.
Yeah, that is sad. Well, last
right?
year, USF, 16-2 in the league, won the regular season and didn't get a bid.
There you go. That's a perfect example. All right, real quick again, you started to talk about Wichita State. 61-53, Memphis won in their first meeting in Memphis. In that game, the Shockers really struggled with the three ball. They were 3 of 16, but my gosh, the two teams combined for 42 turnovers. Memphis had 20, and Wichita State had 22. Last night, I thought we were headed in that same direction. That first 10 minutes, both teams were turning the ball over like it was going out of style. And then all of a sudden, Memphis hit that little period, the last 6 minutes of the first half, 7 minutes, and they dominated. Matt, I've never seen a team like Memphis that can turn it on at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, they really can. And again, I go back. I back to Hunter. I mean, he's the guy that's a catalyst that really gets this thing going. And I tell you, that was a pretty hostile environment last night. The students did a good job at USF. I got to give them credit. Man, they were loud and boisterous and doing some things, intimidating, trying, but they did all they could. But this team is a poised team. They really are. There's so many weapons on this team. Now you got, Dante Harris is, coming in. He got in foul trouble last night, but he's playing pretty good basketball right now. That's another option they have, and you can rest some of the guards, which is a very big positive going forward. Another guy I think that is really kind of overlooked is Jourdain. Last night, you think about it, he doesn't have to score.
No, he got you 9 rebounds.
Really. Exactly. I mean, this at least like 9 rebounds. He's got 3 assists, no turnovers, a couple of steals, in basically about 25 minutes. If you get production out of him like that, he's doing what he needs to do. He's not called on to score. He can do it at times, but there's so many scores on this team. I'm going to tell you, there's some firepower on this club. It really is, and they've been really balanced for most of the year, 3 or 4 guys in double figures every game. Very, very hard to overcome that if you're one of the teams in the American. But Wichita is a club that is still, as I mentioned, searching for that identity. They do turn the ball over. They're 10th in assists, which tells you they have trouble scoring. They don't move the ball exceptionally well. They're 13th in three-point field goal percentage, which, that shows you how they, I guess struggle. It's like USF struggled last night from 3. A couple of things they do pretty well. The first in defensive rebounding, 26.7 on the year. They're 4th in block shots. They got that big Ballard kid, inside the block shots. But other than that, all the figures favor the Tigers in this game. So it's just going on the road and having the right frame of mind. But this team has been able to do that. They may have a bad start like last night, but it doesn't go the entire 40 minutes. They get it together. And he's got pieces he can take somebody out and put another guy in. That's one thing. The depth of this team has been tremendous.
Yeah, which is it's not really deep as far as the numbers, but the quality is certainly there.
Right.
Like you said and you alluded to earlier, everybody seems to know their roles. It's an early game on Sunday. So, Matt, put away the bathing suit, get out the parka for the trip to Wichita. He is Matt Dillon, Tigers basketball radio analyst, and, of course, a big part of our show each and every year with Tigers basketball. The Tiger Basketball Report brought to you by Napa Cafe, Central Barbecue, Binswanger Glass, and Colonial Hardware. Safe travels. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay. I tell you what, Greg, I got my long underwear ready to go here. It's going to be real interesting up there. 13 degrees and we're going to be there. So
there you go.
Not very warm.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. It's crazy, right? You go from 74, that's what Katie was saying, right, in Florida, so somewhere in that neighborhood, to plummeted temperatures in Wichita, but that's the way it is. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, texts and calls. We don't have a lot of time, but if you haven't had a chance on the Tigers, you can jump on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines, 901-360-8255. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Fall is football at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square. Monday through Friday, it's happy hour from 3 to 6. $1 off all travel meals, $5 off will drinks, $4.50 for house wine, and pretzels, mozzarella sticks, queso, corn dogs, and more. Friday night lights from 7 o'clock. Dine in and buy 12 Wednesday, 5 and wings for free. Watch college football at every pro game. All at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Highway 70. Fall is football.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
You look amazing. What have you been doing?
You've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, or 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelfie can help provide you with semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less.
How do I get started with Zelfie?
Just send them a text.
Text SOLVE to 200-300 to get started today with Zelfie to see if you're eligible. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text SOLVE to 200-300 right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text SOLVE to 200-300. SOLVE to 200-300.
All 650 acquisition fee, 20,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage. Pay for SEO 233118, MSRP 25320, Telluride SG 596204, MSRP 41060, Sportage S719 2005, MSRP 30660. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through KFA. Excludes top final license 895 PF with approved credit. Dealer stock only. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 3/2/2025.
It's the Kia President's Day sales event on now at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah. Hey, what's up, Jeff Allen?
Randy, I've got a 2025 Kia K4 LXS for less than $5 a day at $159 a month with class-leading torque and fuel efficiency. 2025 Kia Telluride has front-wheel drive with more power, larger cargo area, and more ground clearance than a Nissan Pathfinder. $398 a month. Plus a 2025 Sportage EX, better overall customer rating than a Toyota RAV4 and longer warranty per Edmunds.com at $279 a month.
All $49.99 to signing 24-month lease. Plus, get a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
It's putt-putt time. The weather's getting right for a little time outside. Putt-putt Golf and Games Driving Range is a good place to be. At Putt-Putt Driving Range, $10 gets you a small bucket of balls, use of the chain and playing greens, and home tracing. Even senior rates available. Putt-Putt Golf and Games Driving Range, 5484 Summer Avenue. Putt-Putt Driving Range, 901-386-2993. Putt-Putt Driving Range. It's putt-putt time.
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
To reveal the full spectrum of dazzling color.
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everybody. We got 10 in a row. The game show that has swept the nation coming your way at 9:05. Right now, though, we're going to give you a chance to talk a little Tigers. Lines are packed. We got a lot to get to, and we don't have a lot of time. So keep the comments brief if you can. Let's start off with Keith. Good morning, Keith.
Hey, good morning, guys. All right. So, CC, can we get like a free throw trainer on CC on free throws? Penny may have to. He's going to have to do something there with CC on his free throw because teams are going to target him, and you know free throws win games. You know that.
Yeah, they're a pretty good free throw shooting team overall, but certainly, you know, with CC, he's not a great free throw shooter, but free throw shooting for the team has been pretty good this year.
Yeah, and everything else was good. I wish we could just slow it down a little on offense and speed it up on defense and keep the turnovers a little bit lower.
I agree, Keith. Thank you very much. I mean, that's the one thing. I got a lot of texts last night during the game about the Tigers. Just slow it down a little bit, but you got to keep the pace because they want to play fast, just like the Grizzlies play fast, and they turn the ball over a lot too. It's how can you play fast but not be in a hurry, right? Not make the mistakes that they make. They got better in the second half and still played at a good pace. Dennis is next. Hi, Dennis.
Hey, good morning, Greg.
Good morning.
Look,
couple quick points, man. First, I want to say I know people probably get tired of you talking about the net, but man, I promise you, every time you speak on it, I'm like, preach, brother. Make it make sense. We're 14th in the nation. 14th in the nation. And you don't get credit for that, man. I mean, it's just crazy. Right. And then the guys that you have on your show, like Tim Palm and all these guys, they want to say, oh, well, you beat teams by more. We beat UAB by over 20. You won last night by 15 on the road, and you don't move. Man, make it make sense. And the next point I have, you brought it up with Matt about how we plug players, and they also mentioned it last night about how Penny is getting these players. This is something that I don't hear people talk about that I always say it's really ingenious that he gets players out of his conference because he sees them. Yes. I mean, it's really a smart thing. Most people get people from conferences, you know, that they haven't really seen, so you don't know how they play, how they fit. But I think that's really a smart thing that people don't talk about with Penny. But, hey, appreciate you letting me talk.
Thank you, Dennis. Yeah, it's actually scouting. You're scouting a team that you're going to play against, and then you go, yeah, this guy would be pretty good on our team. And then if you can get him, you get him. That's the world we live in now with the transfer portal and NIL. Melvin. Hey, Melvin.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
I get it, you know, me, you, Eli, earlier in the year, we talked about the net, and I get it. It's some frustrating, but Greg, like I said, you got to have the buffer. Although I go through all those teams' schedules who beat us, and all those teams they got 3 30-point wins. They got a 40-point win. They got a 50-point win. They got a 60-point win. You got to have the buffer. You remember last year before we hit the skids, we won at Wichita State by 25 that Sunday, and we went up. I forgot what we was at, the late 20s or the early 30s. Then we was up 20 South Florida.
Let me say this. You're right when it comes to the net and things like that because they take margin of victory into account. But remember, Memphis does have a blowout win at Florida Atlantic. They have a blowout win against UAB. They were expected to be the better teams in the conference. UAB picked to win the conference. They got a blowout win over Ole Miss at home. So they have a few. They don't have as many. And the problem is that the expectations are that they have to win every single game in this conference by like 30. And that's crazy talk. That's crazy.
That's why I said, like I said, I don't complain every game, but Greg, we was up 20 East Carolina, 20 UNC Charlotte.
I know.
19-10.
No, you're right, Melvin, about that. Yeah, you got to put the foot on the throat when you have them down.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Melvin. Yeah, appreciate you. Tony's next. Hey, Tone.
Hey, man, the formula to the net, just win, baby. I mean, everything else will figure itself out. People can complain about this and that. I mean, even people want to complain about a team that really haven't had much of a rest. The way that this conference had a schedule, you on the road too, and it's spread it out the way that it is. It's hard for these guys to get their bodies in shape. I mean, UAB had a whole week off. I mean, I think we got one coming up pretty soon. But the fact of the matter is you got an ugly schedule, the way that it's scheduled out, Thursday, Sunday. It'd be, but like I said, at the end of the day, we doing what we got to do. You win. I don't care if you win by 1 or 101. It's still the same thing. It's a win.
Thank you, Tony. Appreciate that. And the reason they play these Thursday, Sundays is for exposure, right? Sunday especially. There's not a ton of college basketball games. That's what the American Conference has done with their TV contract, and there's a lot of those Sunday games. As far as the Tigers and what's coming up, obviously Wichita State on Sunday, and then they will have that week to rest, which is perfect timed for Tyrese Hunter to get that knee in better shape. He has played with a knee that's been less than 100% the entire year. You just heard Matt talk about that. So they won't play again until the following Sunday, the 23rd, against Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic will come in. Well, we'll see what happens in their games prior, but they're 14-10. Memphis destroyed Florida Atlantic to open up conference play in Boca. But you'll play Wichita State, and then you'll have some time to rest, again, prepare for what's coming up. Rice will be on Wednesday, the 26th. That'll be my last broadcast on ESPN+. And then we go into March at UAB. That's the one I have circled, even though Memphis destroyed them the first time around. Just something about Bartow Arena. Then it's a quick turnaround. You play at UTSA on the 4th. 2 days later, you go Sunday, Tuesday, not Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, Tuesday. And then you play again on Friday when you take on South Florida, team you just beat in Tampa. So you're playing in March before the conference tournament, a Sunday, Tuesday, Friday. Who scheduled that? Somebody's 3-year-old?
I've never heard of that in a regular season in conference. Never heard of that.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm looking at this. And I don't think it's a mistake. Sunday, the 2nd of March, Tuesday, the 4th of March, and Friday, the 7th of March. And let me tell you something. You run the table with that type of schedule. I don't care if you're playing the Helen Keller School for the Deaf and Blind. My God. There's going to be a mess up somewhere, you would think. I don't care who you are. There's going to be a mess up somewhere. I mean, Auburn is the best team in college basketball, I believe. We'll find out for sure Saturday when they take on Tuscaloosa. It's on the road. They just lost at home and got punked by Florida. Again, Florida's really, really good. And I'm not comparing Florida and Auburn to Florida Atlantic and the teams in the American outside of Memphis. But the point is, it's extremely hard to roll through a schedule unblemished. Memphis has the one blemish. It was an ugly one, but it was on the road, and it's teetered between a quadrant 2 and quadrant 3 with Temple. But that's basically it. They lost to an SEC team. They've also beaten 2 of them. And they lost to, they lost 2 to the SEC, and they won 2. They beat Ole Miss and drubbed them. They beat Missouri. They lost to Mississippi State at home. Again, you'd rather lose those games on the road, but they lost at home to Mississippi State, and they got beat by Auburn and Hawaii in the finals of the Maui Classic. Auburn's number 1 team in the nation. The other loss, obviously the glaring loss, was Arkansas State, which is not a bad team at all. They have a chance to win the Sun Belt. But that's it. And if they rattle off wins the rest of the way, and they only have 6 more games to go in the regular season, then if they can win the conference tournament title, that would be 3. So you're adding 9 to 8 right now that you have, 8 in a row. That would be a 17-game winning streak. You'd be 30-4. Come on. As Tony said, just keep winning, you'll move up. But it's not just what the resume is, what the eye test is, what the net is, what all that stuff goes into the brains of those individuals behind closed doors that make the decision. And how, as Matt Dillon said, how will they look at the conference Memphis plays in, and will they give that, will that hurt them more than what should help them is the non-conference portion of the schedule when they play tough teams and they won the bulk of them. That's the dilemma that faces the committee. Memphis will be one of the most polarizing teams when it comes to Selection Sunday. We got to take a break. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Sports Boat and RV Show, February 14th to the 16th at the Anchor Center. Come buy your new boat and make some memories at the lake this summer with family and friends. Premier dealers showcasing the newest ski boats, pontoons, fishing hooks with huge show specials. Enter for your chance to win daily door prizes. It's all at the Mid-South Sports Boat and RV Show, February 14th to the 16th. For more info, go to MemphisBoatShow.com. That's MemphisBoatShow.com.
Things you can do for your employees or family's health. Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery instead of dependable service and no long-term contracts. An easy choice. Call Jeff Matus today, 901-382-2363 or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now 382-2363. That's 382-2363. Corky's Barbecue. We're cooking it up. Down home way. Hickory smoke flavor like the good old days.
Hey y'all, Jimmy Stovall here with Corky's Barbecue. With over 175,000 cars served in our drive-thru, 4,000 online pickup orders, and 1,500 party packs delivered to offices and events every year. Corky's is your trusted go-to barbecue for parties. Our party packs start at just $6.99 per person. You can choose 1, 2, or 3 meat combos and pick your favorite sides. And as you know, Corky's always gives you plenty of food, so you never worry about running out. Whether it's pickup or delivery, we've got you covered. Corky's makes it easy to impress your guests. Visit Corky'sBBQ.com to order for your next event.
Encore flavor. Corky's Barbecue.
Exercise. The exercise couch is ready for you. Strength training only takes 20 minutes twice a week with special computerized exercise equipment designed to maximize your workouts and minimize your time. The exercise coach gives you personal workouts by one-on-one with a trainer. Check out the exercise coach at exercisecoach.com/Lakeland or exercisecoach.com/Sign up to see the exercise coach. Your age, injury, or knowledge.
This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Still finishing up a couple of wrecks we had out here earlier. It's trying to pick up over here on 240 east and westbound between Walnut Grove and Poplar. Traffic still looks good at the moment as you work your way towards the 101 connector on 40 west from Covington Pike all the way over to Watkins as it builds now on 240 east and west here at Mill Branch. If your yard needs some help this time of the year, don't worry. Lawn Solutions has you covered with over 30 years experience. Lawn Solutions, that telephone number is 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis with Brett Norsworthy and Brian Dacus. Weekday afternoons from 3 to 6. Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Champions Foods. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back. Final hour for us this week here on Sports 56 Mornings. Greg Gaston and Elijah Seegers. Eli is off today. It is a Valentine's Friday. Monday is President's Day. A lot of people will be off work, no school, national holiday, but we'll be here starting bright and early at 7 a.m. It has finally cracked the 30-degree mark. We have gone over 30 degrees. It is 31 degrees right now. If you're getting ready to head out, make sure you're dressed appropriately. 52 for your high. You will see some sun, a little bit of clouds as well. And then tonight, cloudy this evening with thunderstorms developing after midnight. Could possibly produce some hail. And then for your Saturday, it looks like a rain affair with thunderstorms possible. 68 for a high. And then on Sunday, it clears up at only 39 for a high. So again, that 30-degree dip or elevation. That's what we've had seemingly every other day weather-wise here in Memphis and the Mid-South. Hour 3 of the program is brought to you by Jenkins Floors and More. I'll give you more of the particulars about them in just a little bit. But right now, it's time for 10 in a row.
Not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8, not 9, but 10 in a row.
It's the game show that has swept the nation. It is 10 in a row. And you can jump on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines right now and participate at 901-360-8255. 10 in a row is brought to you by the great folks at Napa Cafe. Man, this place is really, really cool, especially, and I don't think you could probably get in. You could try. Maybe somebody dropped out, but for Valentine's Day, kind of tough, but it is a very romantic restaurant. Beautiful place. Napa Cafe provides you with an extraordinary evening. You can celebrate with a crowd or an intimate evening on the town. It always makes sense at Napa. 5 dining rooms, including the private wine cellar. My wife and I, several years ago, had dinner there at the private wine cellar. It's just fabulous. Sit back, relax, celebrate, leave the cooking to Napa Cafe. They're located at 5101 Sanderland Avenue in East Memphis. You can dine in. You can also dine out. Just put your order in, curbside pickup for their full menu. Napa Cafe open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5. For reservations, visit the website at napacafe.com. All right, before I give you the question, what are they playing for today?
Today's winner will be receiving a gift card to Gould's Salon and Spa just in time for Valentine's Day. If you want to give a gift to your significant other, that's a good option.
Yes.
We have a $25 gift card to East Coast Wings and Grill and 2 Malco movie passes.
Well, there you go. You get the Goulds for Valentine's. You take your Valentine to the movies, right? You can have dinner before at East Coast. It's all set for you.
Sounds like a perfect evening.
All right, 360-8255. Here's the question. Top 25 scoring leaders in NCAA men's basketball history. If they're ranked in the top 25, if they're a top 25 all-time leading scorer in NCAA men's basketball history, it's a yes. If not, it's a no. Top 25 scoring leaders in NCAA men's basketball history, 360-8255. Let's begin. Let's start with Steve. Steve, how are you?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good. Top 25 scoring leaders in NCAA men's basketball history. Russ Smith.
No.
Hersey Hawkins.
No.
360-8255. We're wide open right now as you scurry to Google. Google's your friend. You try to look up. See, I think it's fun just to take a shot. Like Steve. He took a shot, man.
That's the ethical way to do it,
Now,
that's for sure.
I understand. I understand to look up things. I mean, we live in the world of Google. 360-8255, 901-360-8255. It's a tough question, but it is Google-licious, this question. No question about that. Again, great prize package with a $25 gift card to East Coast Wings, $50 to Gould's Salon, and 2 Malco movie tickets. 360-8255. Top 25 scoring leaders in NCAA men's basketball history. Next up is Matt. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning.
J.J. Redick.
No.
360-8255. Top 25 scoring leaders in NCAA men's basketball history. There'll be some big names that won't be in the top 25, and there'll be some obscure names that will be, and that's just the way it is. I didn't go real obscure, to be honest with you, try to make it a little bit easier for you. 360-8255, top 25 scoring leaders in NCAA men's basketball history. We got some open lines. Take advantage of it right now. Dan is next. Hey, Dan.
Hey, Greg. I like the way Ron White does Valentine's Day. He gets his wife diamonds and how to shut her up.
Oh, I hope it's not that bad for people out there. All right, here we go. Top 25 scoring leaders in NCAA men's basketball history. Russ Smith.
No.
Hersey Hawkins.
No.
360-8255. We've missed on the Hawk 2 times in a row. 360-8255. Call in. Elijah is awaiting your phone call. It's 10 in a row. It's brought to you each and every week by the great folks at Napa Cafe. Coming up at 9:25, Brandon Lang to wrap up the season. We'll get some college basketball picks from him. I know he was red hot last week, and then, of course, he called the Super Bowl spot on. Not only the Eagles winning, but the Eagles, he said, will win big, and he was absolutely right. 360-8255, top 25 scoring leaders in NCAA men's basketball history. Next up is Gene. Hey, Gene.
Good morning.
Good morning. J.J. Redick.
Yes.
Patrick Ewing.
No.
Doug McDermott.
Yes.
Oscar Robertson.
Yes.
Trey Young.
No.
Danny Manning.
No.
360-8255 is the number. We go to Mario. Hey, Mario.
Hey, what's going on, Greg?
Not too much. Russ Smith.
No.
Hersey Hawkins.
Yes.
David Thompson.
No.
Jerry West.
No.
Larry Bird.
Yes.
Travis Ford.
Yes.
360-8255. We got open lines. We want to give out these prizes, especially on Valentine's Day, right? Take advantage of it. Top 25 scoring leaders in NCAA men's basketball history. That's the question this week for 10 in a row. It is brought to you by the great folks at Napa Cafe. Next up, we go to Carl. Hi, Carl.
Let's try it.
All right, let's do it. J.J. Redick.
Yes.
Patrick Ewing.
No.
Doug McDermott.
Yes.
Oscar Robertson.
Yes.
Trey Young.
No.
Danny Manning.
Yes.
Elvin Hayes.
Yes.
Otis Birdsong.
Yes.
Steve Alford.
No.
Dallas Comegys.
No.
We got a winner. Carl, who sounds like Tone Loc, you are the winner, my friend. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll put him on hold, and Elijah will get his information. Doesn't he sound like Tone Loc?
He's got that voice.
Funky Cole Medina. Sounds fantastic. All right, so we go to the list that he didn't win on. The first list, Russ Smith's a no, although Russ has been known to be rusticulous. Hershey Hawkins is a yes. Stud at Bradley, if I'm not mistaken. David Thompson, no. Jerry West, no. Larry Bird, yes. Travis Ford, a no. And then guys we didn't get to. Tyler Hansbrough from North Carolina. From North Carolina? Yeah. Yes. He's a yes. Allen Houston from Tennessee. He's a yes. Ernie Grunfeld from Tennessee. A no. And then Hank Gathers, the late, great Hank Gathers from Loyola Marymount, is a yes. Top 25 scorers in NCAA men's basketball history. There you go. That's 10 in a row, brought to you by Napa Cafe. I thought it was really cool last night to watch the game. Dane Bradshaw, who was on with us a couple days ago, was the analyst, and we knew he was going to be. Usually works SEC games and still does, but because they're probably not going to do the SEC tournament, even though he works with ESPN and the ESPN SEC network, probably going to do the American, I guess. I'm not sure, but they did that game last night. And it was really cool because Dane is from Memphis, and there were so many references to Memphis from his high school playing days, his interactions with Penny Hardaway, the history of Memphis basketball. I mean, it seemed like for an ESPN game that it was a Memphis broadcast, to be honest with you. So I know those folks who get on my case when I got to be neutral, they probably loved it because it was like 90% Memphis. But listening to Dane, it was great. And Dane, of course, fabricating a few stories very kiddingly about the time he went to the gym and Penny and said, who did he say? Lorenzen Wright, the late Lorenzen Wright. They were playing at one end and he was shooting at the other end, and that Penny invited him to come down. And what did he say? Did you hear this? He said he stole the ball.
I missed this part, unfortunately.
Yeah, he said, I think he said he stole the ball, went through his legs, and then like dunked on Penny or something like that. And Tom Hart called him out on it. He was kidding about that, but I'm sure he held his own shooting the basketball. Dane was a heck of a basketball player at White Station and then on to the University of Tennessee. Okay, I wanted to shift gears before Brandon Lang comes on with us in our next segment and talk a little bit about the NBA. Last night wrapped up the pre-All-Star weekend time of the year. I don't want to say the halfway point because we're well beyond that with games. The halfway point would be 41 games, and these teams have played much more than 41 games. But there were 5 last night, including the Houston Rockets, who lost again, and the Rockets have had some problems of late. They lose to the Warriors at home 105-98. The Mavericks, who still are without Anthony Davis, win 118-113 over the Heat, so a good win for the Mavs. The Timberwolves over the Thunder, a rare loss for the Thunder, 116-101. The Clippers in overtime had to go OT before beating the Jazz in Utah. And the Pelicans in overtime over the Kings, 140-133. So, the All-Star weekend is upon us. Activities and festivities begin tonight. In the West, with Memphis wrapping things up with their loss to the Clippers the other night, they are 8 games behind Oklahoma City. So Oklahoma City with less than 30 games to go, 8-game lead, they look like they're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, it's probably a foregone conclusion at this point that OKC has already wrapped up the 1 seed unless something insanely unforeseen happens.
Then the fun begins after Oklahoma City. The Grizzlies at 36-18. They are a half a game up on the Denver Nuggets. And then the Rockets are another 2 games behind Denver, so 2.5 behind the Grizzlies. Then you go to the Lakers. They are 11 behind Oklahoma City, so 3 behind the Grizzlies. And then the Clippers at 13 behind the Thunder. That means they're 5 games behind the Grizzlies. So 5 games separating number 2 through number 6. And then it's still clouded with the play-in teams. Minnesota, Dallas, Sacramento, Golden State. And then you throw in Phoenix, which right now is on the outside looking in. They're separated by only 4 games. After that, you go a couple more back to the Spurs, then Portland, Utah, and New Orleans. They're out of it. But it's going to be a fun final 25 to 28 games, whatever teams have left. The Grizzlies have 28 exactly. It's going to be fun to see what happens. We talked about it yesterday. The Grizzlies open up against 3 Eastern Conference teams on the road after the All-Star break, and that will be Indiana next Thursday, followed by a game at Orlando, and then a game against Cleveland. Now, the All-Star Weekend festivities, as I mentioned, begins tonight. The All-Star Celebrity Game, then the Rising Stars Games, which will include a team that has 2 Memphis Grizzlies and Zach Edey and Jalen Wells. Saturday, All-Star Saturday night, Skills Challenge, 3-point contest, and the Slam Dunk Contest. I don't even know who's in the Slam Dunk this year. Who's in it?
It's mostly young guys. We got Modest Buzelis from the Chicago Bulls, Andre Jackson Jr. from the Bucks, Stephon Castle, the exciting rookie from the San Antonio Spurs, and coming back looking for a three-peat, of course, is Mac McClung.
Okay, McClung's incredible, but that's old. Those guys are not names. It's terrible. It used to be where Vinsanity was dunking, or MJ, or Dr. J. I mean, those days are long, long gone. But I think the three-point shooting competition is the best thing about All-Star Saturday night. And then on Sunday, you have the G League up next game, and I think there's 4 representatives from the Hustle, if I'm not mistaken. And then you have the actual All-Star Games, and again, plural, All-Star Games on Sunday night. So that's what's on tap for this weekend with the All-Star Game and the other All-Star activities beginning tonight. Jaren Jackson Jr., of course, the lone representative from the Grizzlies as far as the All-Star games are concerned. Although, again, the Rising Stars team that wins will come out of it tonight and play in the games on Sunday. So it's a little complicated. It's something out of the box that Adam Silver's trying. I don't know how popular it will be, but they got to do something because the All-Star game has become unwatchable with no defense and chucking three-pointers. I don't think anybody wants to see that. We will take a timeout. When we come back, Brandon Lang is scheduled to join us. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
I have so many people tell me they hear my ads on this station and that they want to know if I'm really as bad a golfer as everyone says. This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Mark's Ben Storff Realtors. And yes, I hate to say I am. I wish I were in my 90s because I could then tell people I shoot my age. But being a bad golfer is not terrible because I devote so much of my time to selling homes to keep my clients happy. Over the many years in the real estate business, I developed a highly successful strategic marketing program, not merely a listing program. Using preparation, presentation, and proper pricing, it works. If you're thinking of selling, talk to 2 to 3 real estate brokers and make sure that I am one of them. Find out what People often say that when you want the job done, Shell Done. That's Shell Done Rosengarten, 483-0546 or MemphisRelocate.com. Do it now. Shell Done, 483-0546 or MemphisRelocate.com.
Elwood Shack in the Lowe's parking lot on summer just keeps getting bigger and better. Bigger because now there's a second Elwood Shack at 4040 Park across from the University of Memphis. And better because you can get breakfast every day at both Elwood. There's the barbecue breakfast burrito, even beef brisket or pork shoulder, and pancake biscuits made fresh daily. Real house-made pancakes, apple and bacon, French toast, and more. And the new Elwood's even has a real coffee bar serving fresh roasted J. Brooks coffee. Elwood Shack, now with 2 locations and open every day for you.
I know it's not spring yet, but it's close, and right now, it's the perfect time to start thinking and planning for your backyard entertainment. Just so happens Family Leisure is thinking that way too, with their preseason pool and patio sale. Get 2024 pricing on all above-ground pools and patio furniture. Also, secure your spot for pool installation. That way, you can go ahead and start making plans. Lots of new inventory is en route, so in-stock patio furniture is up to 70% off. You want a play gym, a trampoline, how about an outdoor kitchen to go along with that new pool? They're all on sale too. You can get spas up to $3,000 off and save even more by mentioning this ad. You do that, you'll get a $250 gift card with a pool, spa, or patio furniture purchase. Winter won't last forever. The spring will be here soon, so get ready with the preseason pool and patio sale at Family Leisure, Whit Road off I-40, where family and fun all come together. Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56.
Welcome back, everyone. 9:26 the time. Final 30 and change here on this Friday edition of Sports 56 Mornings on this Valentine's Day Friday, on this cold Friday in Memphis and the Mid-South. We got rain on the way again, unfortunately, and some severe weather possibly tomorrow with thunderstorms, maybe even hail overnight. But this afternoon, they're going to play some baseball, not only here in Memphis, around the country. College baseball begins. The Memphis Tigers will play a doubleheader against SEMO, Southeast Missouri State, starting at 2:05. And then the third game of the series will not be played until Monday because of the forecast and the weather. So if you're planning on going over to FedEx Park, Averon Fogelman Field, make sure you heed my advice. Dress warmly. And don't try to go over there for the game on Saturday or the game on Sunday because they have been rescheduled. So Brandon, I'm not sure whether or not he remembers to join us for the wrap-up show. I thought he would definitely call in to gloat about his big dub, and we're happy that he was correct, accurate, because some of you certainly take his advice to heart. I do. But I like the Eagles before he even said blowout. I never thought it was going to be a blowout, but I did like the Eagles. A lot of people ended up liking the Eagles as well. All right, so want to get back to the Tigers. And as I mentioned earlier, Memphis did not move a spot. They did not drop. They did not go up in the net. They're 44th, and that's where they remain after a 15-point win on the road. They probably could have won that game 80-0 and would not have moved either. So I pulled up the net just for fun. And last week, did you guys, I hope you guys did the assignment I asked you to do and look up where Virginia Commonwealth was. They're 37th. They've moved since last week when we talked about this. Look at their resume and compare it to Memphis, and it'll puzzle you how Memphis is behind them. So I haven't looked at this. I'm doing this live on the radio as I think Brandon's calling in. Okay. But I want to look at St. Mary's. If I could find them. St. Mary's is pretty high. Yes, they are number 20. So after Brandon in our last segment, I want to go over that resume of a team that's very similar, mid-major, not a great conference, but the WCC is obviously getting the benefit of the doubt compared to the American this year, and understandably so. But you're talking about a team who doesn't have all these big non-conference wins like Memphis does. And they're 20th in the net at 21-4. Memphis sitting at 44th in the net at 21-4. We'll make that comparison. We'll do it later. But right now, it's time for Brandon Lang.
It's time to handicap this week's action. Joining Greg and Eli is sports handicapper Brandon Lang, subject of the movie Two for the Money.
I mean, I was absolutely nauseous and getting it really talking to the TV, tracking down the yellow whistle ball bat, just couldn't have beaten up.
Get Brandon's plays at BrandonLang.com.
Yeah, frequency of super big. You walked me on that wall. You moved me on that wall. Oath and honor. Who's going to do that? Super pin in the back ring.
Also listen to Brandon's betting analysis on the Believe Podcast Network.
Not going to last very long in the NFL. What people say he will be out of the league in 3 years. I guarantee if you heard it here first, he will be gone. I don't know what his dad does for a living, but whatever his dad does,
Here's Brandon with Greg and Eli.
Baby, the website is BrandonLang.com. The podcast, Two for Your Money. You can hear it on the Believe Podcast Network. The show is called Cappers. The TV program airs on the Pluto Network. He's the one and only Brandon Lang. For a second there, I didn't think you were calling in, that you remembered that we're doing this kind of post-mortem thing. I go, but wait a minute. Brandon's got to gloat, man. He's got to come on. Not only did he nail the winning team in the Super Bowl, you said an absolute blowout. And you were absolutely right. Congratulations. How are you?
First, yeah, and then I bet a parlay. I just loaded up on Jalen Hurts. Wish I'd have put more on it. I put Hurts over 1.5 touchdowns, Hurts over rushing yards, Hurts over passing yards.
Man.
Hurts MVP. So that 4-teamer, and Hurts anytime touchdown. So it was 5-teamer, and it was just probably the best Super Bowl I ever had. And, I'm now 27-6, so the best one I ever had in the 2 pushes in 35 years. So it was a pretty spectacular day. So
I heard,
but first,
Brandon, before you get to that, I heard that the books in Pennsylvania took a bath with the Eagles winning. I mean, an absolute bath.
Yeah, it was the Tampa Bay Super Bowl all over again.
Yeah.
It was Seattle, Denver all over again. When you have, again, and I tell people this all the time, I miss Tampa Bay, KC. I missed it. I flat out missed it. And I sat there and I said to myself, I will never make this mistake again. When you have such an advantage in the D-line, I don't care who the quarterback is. I'm going to lose with the defensive line. I sat there in that Tampa Bay game, and I turned the game off after 2 possessions and walked out of the Super Bowl party I was at. Everybody goes, where are you going? I go, I don't need to see this. This is a destruction. What are you talking about? There's 3 minutes left in the first quarter. I said, read my lips. It's a destruction. Leave me alone. Walked out the door, got in my car, drove to the movie theater, saw 2 movies, came out, saw 31-9 final, and I just said, and I wanted to kill myself. Because in the back of my head, I knew Tampa's D-line was just going to destroy the offensive line. But I bought into the Mahomes hype. I bought into the Andy Reid hype. I just bought into it. And I sat right there. Then I went and watched the game, months later. Andy Reid got so poorly outcoached with his game plan. I said, I will never make that mistake again. Now, did I think that they would just destroy them the way they did? No. But that just goes to show you, next year when you handicap the Super Bowl, look for one thing and one thing only. Who has the better D-line? Mm-hmm. Who has the better offensive line? Because if you control the trenches as dominant as Philly did, that's your right side of the game. So we won't get a Super Bowl like that. And I said to you a million times before, do you know why you get blowouts in the Super Bowl?
Why?
Because teams that shouldn't be there get there.
Okay. Right.
I will go to my grave saying that the best team in the AFC, without a doubt, was the Baltimore Ravens. But the problem with Baltimore is they just can't get out of their own way, and they make critical mistakes to lose games they have no right losing. The 2 throwaway games early in the year with Cleveland and the Raiders. Should never lost those 2. If they don't, they got home field advantage against Buffalo. They dominated Buffalo, critical turnovers, 1st and goal, 3-yard line, settled for a field goal. Andrews drop, and then we're handicapping Buffalo. And if Josh Allen looks over to his left instead of his right, that running back's still running down to New Orleans. So KC got in. Did they deserve to get in? No, they were a 9-8 football team at best. Mahomes, this, Mahomes, that. Take your bundle right off. So yes, it was a great feeling to get back from the Tampa Bay thing. But more importantly, coming down on Thursday, February 27th, staying at the Hyatt where the NBA players are staying. So I'll probably be on the bench with the Knicks and getting about 10 minutes this time at the hotel they're at. So.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so we're coming down on Thursday. Ellen and I are coming in studio on Friday, and then just I told Eli this, pick a restaurant or something, and the listeners can come down for lunch on Friday afternoon after the show and hang with Lang for a couple hours, have a mid-afternoon cocktail and an appetizer. Let's just shoot the crap and have some fun.
Well, that is great. I mean, he hasn't told me yet, but he's got some personal things he's taking care of. That's why he's off today. So he'll get with me, and we'll get that set up, and I'll promote it, and I'll go on social media, make sure people know. Finally, that we get for you guys to come down to Memphis, and I can meet your lovely wife, and hopefully it'll be a great time. I think it will.
You don't have to get us great seats for the game, by the way.
That's on Eli, man.
I know.
That's
just
on
so
Eli.
Eli knows. That's on him. I got my airfare. I got my hotel. I got everything. Eli, if you're listening, I'm not saying you got to be courtside, buddy. Don't put me in the nosebleeds. We got a problem. So,
he's got some pretty good connections. That's fantastic. That's good news.
Yep.
All right.
Looking
So
forward to it.
I know last week going into the Super Bowl, we talked about how hot you were in basketball. And this is the last time we'll have. This wraps up the season with you. And obviously you go out on fire with the bets for the Super Bowl. But you've been red hot in basketball. So give us something. I'm ice cold, Brandon. I need something. I need something bad. What do we got going on? We got the big game between Auburn and Alabama. Not sure if you got a play on that one. Let's talk a little college basketball.
All right. First of all, I heard you on hold coming on air about St. Mary's.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you something about St. Mary's. They are a really dangerous basketball team. Nobody pays attention to them because they're out west. I stay up late and watch them. You're saying their non-conference schedule isn't that strong. Well, I got news for you, okay? They played USC, okay, early in the season. I think it was their 7th or 8th game. And I was just flipping around the channels looking for a game to watch. And again, Ed Feld left USC. I was anxious to see, how they looked. St. Mary's beat USC 71-36.
I know. I'm staring
That's
right at
USC. That's a USC team that I think 2 weeks ago beat Michigan State at home. So that gives you a barometer of, Marshall Onis's son.
Yes.
Plays for St. Mary's. Don't sleep on them. They're definitely going to get in 100%.
Let me say this before you go on. My point wasn't that St. Mary's wasn't good. St. Mary's is good. My point is this. Memphis is number 44 in the net. St. Mary's is number 20. Okay? Now follow me on this one.
Okay.
Let's do comparative shopping here. The Gales lost to San Francisco. The Memphis Tigers beat San Francisco. The best wins for the Gales non-conference are Nebraska, USC. They lost to a mediocre Arizona State team. Memphis has beaten Connecticut, Michigan State, Ole Miss, Clemson, Virginia. The difference is the damn conference, but it's not like the WCC is the damn SEC. But they are being treated like it is because they have Gonzaga in the conference, who, by the way, is mediocre this year. Memphis is being so penalized because of the American Conference. They are 24 slots behind St. Mary's. They have a better non-conference schedule. It's a better strength of schedule. They have better non-conference wins. They have one conference loss. And in the game in which you can do comparative shopping, they beat San Francisco. St. Mary's did not. How are they 24 slots behind St. Mary's?
Okay. Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Are you worried that Memphis isn't going to get in?
No, I'm worried about seeding. That's all. Because if they lose another game, Brandon, if they lose one more game, which will be their 5th overall loss and 2nd in the conference, they'll probably plummet 2 seed lines. That's my concern.
Okay. Well, let me just stop you there. If you're worried about seeding based on performance of 8 guys sitting in a room that wear white T-shirts with pins in their shirt and black rim glasses who have no clue when it comes to this tournament, who a couple of years ago left out an A&M team, and Buzz did one of the greatest press conferences I've ever seen. I cried with him.
Yes.
And if you've never seen it, I say every basketball fan out there should go to YouTube and see how Buzz goes after the NCAA tournament committee and asks them very, very good questions and solid questions, because that was the team that could flat out go. Last year, Seton Hall finished 4th in the Big East with 5 senior starters and would have made some serious noise in the tournament. They got left out, as did Providence, and the Big East had just 2 teams. The Big East is probably one of the top 3 conferences in all of college basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Only 2 teams in the Big East got in last year, and I think there was 8 or 9 in the Big Ten. So if you're worried about seeding, listen to me. Grab your ankles and sing Kumbaya, because those guys have no clue what they're doing. They're never going to have a clue what they're doing. And you just have to accept that Memphis is probably going to get screwed with a lot of other teams when they should be seeded differently. I've stopped worrying about how teams get seeded, because I would love to be in a room with these guys and just go off, because they have no clue of judging talent.
Me too.
In college basketball.
Me too. And I've always said, why not put a member, an active member of the media in the room for college football, for college basketball? I don't get it. I don't understand, because they can look at it without any bias, I think.
It has been and I make no bones about it, I love handicapping college basketball, and I've killed it in the NCAA tournament the last 3 years and had some ungodly runs. And I get more frustrated than anybody that teams are seated where they're seated and teams get left out that should be in, and it's an absolute travesty, and the anger and coaches having to deal with it. And I've just accepted the fact that they don't know what they're doing. They'll never get the seedings right, and you just take your seeding. If you're good enough and you're supposed to, make it as far as you are, take your seed and go out and win games. You're eventually going to have to play a good team somewhere down the road.
True.
And if you're a good basketball team, man up, go on your run and get her done. I'm a fan of this Memphis team. I had them in Hawaii. I believe it was in Hawaii, right?
Yes.
Maui Invitational.
Mm-hmm.
I had them their first 2 games there, and then they just ran out of gas in the final and just didn't have enough in the tank. But I was a fan at the beginning of the year. I'm a fan of Penny Hardaway. Played golf with him. He's not a bad stick, by the way. Guy can hit it. And so I like this team. I like the guard makeup. And again, NCAA tournament, you're going to only go as far as your guards take you. I've said that for years. You have to have guards that can knock down shots and get you into your offense and get you buckets down the stretch. I like this Memphis team.
Yeah.
But if you expect them to get seeded properly, stop wasting time, because they're not going to. They're just going to have to take their 9 seed, 8 seed, 10 win, 9 or 8 seed, 7 seed, which is probably 6 seed. They're not going to get seeded properly because they don't know what they're doing. So accept it and have them go out with some football games. Get to the Sweet 16 or Elite 8, because I believe they are a Sweet 16 or Elite 8 team right now. I believe that.
I agree with everything you said. They're not going to get screwed. They're going to get screwed, but they're not going to get screwed that bad unless there's another loss coming up. But anyway, you're right. You make really good points. I'm surprised that the easygoing Brandon Lang, he didn't go off and scream, kind of like what I did. So maybe there's a changing of the you're turning. And
no, that's never going to happen.
I don't know.
No, that's never going to happen on the face of planet Earth. I've done all my screaming and yelling years ago when a few teams got left out that should have got in, and I'm like, at this point, there's no use. They go outside and just yell and scream with you. There's nothing. They're never going to get it right, because when you put people in charge of doing something that they have no clue what they're doing, it's the definition of insanity.
Yeah,
doing the same thing over and expect different results. Until you replace guys in there that couldn't play dead, unless you get guys in there who played basketball and understand basketball and can shoot a basketball, they're not going to be able to evaluate talent.
That's all there's to it.
All right, what do
So,
you got? What do you got for tomorrow? You got anything really good for our listeners out there?
I do like Auburn over Alabama. I know Auburn's been great, but I think Alabama's been great. Scored over 105 5 or 6 times this year. They're on a 6-7 game winning streak. But I think Auburn's the better team, and I think Auburn gets it done. I believe Auburn's plus 1.5. I said to myself before the line came out, whoever's the dog, that's who I'm going to play. Auburn's plus 1.5. If Charlotte's playing ECU tomorrow in Charlotte's kind of a dangerous underdog if they're getting 6 or more. So the lines aren't out yet, but I did my homework. 6 or more. Houston goes to Arizona. Red flag for Houston. Texas Tech went in there and beat Houston without their best player who fouled out or got ejected in like the first half.
Mm-hmm.
And they went ahead and beat Houston in Houston. I like Arizona at home. I think they're going to be a small dog out west. I think Arizona at home gets it done over Houston. Small little upset there. Izzo might rebound against Illinois if I'm getting 4 or more to pass Bobby Knight. Most wins in the Big Ten. And last but not least, Clemson has been great. Leonard Hamilton saying see ya at Florida State at the end of the year. They're getting 7 or more at home tomorrow. I like FSU plus the points over Clemson.
That's nice. Anything on Tennessee's revenge against Vanderbilt in Knoxville?
No, just because they're going to be laying 14.
Oh, geez.
It's going to be a massive number. I left that alone. Sunday though, Rick Pitino and St. John's. I don't know if you've been paying attention to St. John's and Rick Pitino.
Oh yes, we've talked about them a lot this week.
Buddy, they're 21-4, and their 4 losses are 1 to Baylor in OT in a game they led by 5 with 18 seconds to go. Georgia by 3, Creighton by 1, and Villanova by 3. They're a bucket 2 away from being 25-0. They get Creighton at home on Sunday. I love St. John's to bounce back and get the home win over Creighton, who just had their 8-game winning streak snapped at home by UConn, by Connecticut. So I like St. John's on Sunday. Probably going to be laying 3 or less. Ride Rick Pitino and the Giants.
Yeah, if there's a coach that is good for a couple of wins, like the coach making the difference, Rick Pitino, one of the all-time greats, is good for several wins just because you have him coaching.
Think about what he did. Took over St. John's late last year, went and found players. They should have gotten the tournament with Providence and Seton Hall in the Big East, didn't. Then he had the NIL money flow in, had time to get kids that he had, got them coming in, they're 21-4. The guy's a legend. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah, you got the thing in Louisville where he had the guy's wife in the restaurant, got fired. Okay, I get it. You had the players and the hookers and all that. Rick, I get it. You did what you had to do, buddy. But now you're giving this guy NIL money? Just watch what he does next year.
He's human, Brandon. He's human. He's
he's an NBA coach who gets to pay players in college. It's over. Watch what he does. It's over. He doesn't have to get escorts for the kids in Louisville anymore. They get paid.
Absolutely. He is Brandon Lang. He gets paid. BrandonLang.com is the website. He's helping you win games right now. You can make sure to check him out in the podcast on the Believe Podcast Network. It is called 2 for Your Money. The new TV show is called Cappers. That's going to air on Pluto Network. He's coming to Memphis. Again, when are you coming down? What are the dates?
So Ellen and I get in Thursday night, staying at the Hyatt. Coming in your studio on Friday, do the show. And then you pick the restaurant. Never been to Memphis. Looking forward to it. And like I said, and then Knicks and Grizzlies on my birthday, which is Friday. Turn 62.
And
So,
we'll let all our listeners know again when the meet and greet will happen. We'll make sure that you can get over there and see Brandon, meet Brandon. The personality that's bigger than life. You get to see him in person and shake his hand and all that good stuff. All right, that's coming up. It's happening. I'm very happy about that. Brandon, great season as always. Always appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you when you get to Memphis.
Got it, buddy.
Thank you. Now, how about that, Elijah? I hadn't heard yet. The Langer's coming.
Storms are brewing.
Storms are brewing. Hide the kids. I don't know why I said that, but just put everybody on alert. Let's just say. Jenkins Floors and More, third hour sponsor, Sports 56 mornings. Maybe this weekend's a good time to go down there if you're in the market for flooring and carpeting. If you're looking for backsplashes for your kitchens and bathrooms, plantation shutters and blinds, whatever the case may be, whether you're a homeowner, whether you're a contractor, it makes sense to check out Jenkins Floors and More because they sell it wholesale. Skip the middleman. They're going to save you lots of money. So you're getting top-of-the-line material, and you're getting it at a discount. It just makes sense. It's a short trip from anywhere in the Mid-South. They're located at 2356 Goodman Road. That is in Horn Lake, Mississippi. They also have stores in Cleveland, Mississippi, and in Little Rock. If you can do the job yourself, you get the material from Jenkins and go ahead and do it. If not, you call Jenkins, you invite them to your home, your business, and you show them what you want. They will bring you samples, and they will give you a free estimate. And then they'll get the job done in a 2-week turnaround. That's their promise to you, 2 weeks or less. You can't beat it. Jenkins Floors and More, where financing is always available. They're open Monday through Saturday. The phone number is 662-469-9350. Again, let them come out and give you a free estimate. Military and first responders, you get 10% off. Sports 56 listeners, ask about your family discount. So again, if you're looking to lay down some flooring, some carpeting in 2025, it makes sense to head to Jenkins Floors and More, 2356 Goodman Road in Horn Lake. They are the third-hour sponsor of Sports 56 Mornings. We're coming back to put a wrap on the program. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hello, sports fans out there. Walker Taylor here with the Germantown and Collierville Commissary. We just celebrated our 43rd year in business, and I would like to thank our fantastic customers and especially our loyal staff. Time has flown by. We now have a second location, Poplar and Houston Levy in Collierville. Catering is a specialty of ours. 50 to 5,000, no job too small, no job too big. Full service or self-service. We also have a party room in Collierville that is great for rehearsal dinners, business meetings, you name it, we'd love to have you. Also, our barbecue party packs start at $8.75 a person. Barbecue, beans, slaw, bun sauce, including serving utensils. Especially great for tailgating with football season coming up. The commissary restaurants also believe in giving back to the community. Possibly you have been approached by somebody selling a barbecue 6-pack coupon for fundraising. Cheerleading groups, church groups, anything to help a worthy cause. Holidays are near. Smoked hams and smoked turkeys will be on the pit before you know it. Come see us at Germantown and Collierville Commissary. Also check us out at commissarybarbecue.com.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Exercise. The exercise coach is ready for you. Strength training only takes 20 minutes twice a week with special computerized exercise equipment designed to maximize your workouts and minimize your time. An exercise coach gives you personal workouts by only one-on-one with a trainer. Check out your exercise coach at exercisecoach.com/Lakeland or exercisecoach.com/Lakeland. Injury or knowledge.
right, a couple of things. We were talking earlier about Seth Hennigan, Rock Taylor getting the invite to the NFL Scouting Combine, which will take place in Indianapolis February 27th through March 2nd. The team that leads with players invited, no surprise, national champion Ohio State with 15. Ole Miss sending 11 players to the Scouting Combine. Alabama, 9. Tennessee, 6. Arkansas, 5. I don't believe I saw a player invited from Mississippi State. I could be wrong, but I didn't notice their logo there when I saw the breakdown of the Combine invites. The Daytona 500 is Sunday. The pole, Chase Briscoe on the pole. Outside row 1, Austin Cindric. Who knows? Maybe we'll have a surprise. We've had some surprises in the history of the Daytona 500. And when you have that many races over the years, you're going to have surprises. You had the big names win as well, but you've had some guys come out of nowhere to win. And Chase Briscoe, Austin Cindric, they're your front row. The twin duels yesterday, Bubba Wallace winning 1, and Austin Cindric won duel number 2. We were talking when John Varlas was on about Monday not only being President's Day, but Michael Jordan's birthday. Michael Jordan is a team owner, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's a part owner, if not more of the majority owner of the Bubba Wallace car. I think that's true. I think Denny Hamlin also is part of that ownership. At least it was last year. I think that may be the case. Here's something pretty cool. Helio Castroneves, the 4-time Indy 500 winner, is in the Daytona 500. Helio Castroneves. And yes, Mario Andretti's, I think he's won the Daytona 500. A.J. Foyt would run in the Daytona 500, just like the NASCAR guys are running in Indy anymore. The crossover has always been there, but I think this might be the first for Castroneves. So we were talking about the St. Mary's Memphis comparison. What did you think when I rattled off those numbers?
I think that there's definitely a valid case that you make for that to be a discrepancy that size from 44 to 20. That's very large. That's a very large discrepancy. I think Brandon also made some good points as well, talking about St. Mary's and their resume. But yeah, Memphis being 44, and if you look at all the other teams they're surrounded by, from like the 52 to like 37 range, they're almost all exclusively bubble teams. So
it's crazy, but you look at the one score, St. Mary's beat USC by 30-something points and held them to under 40 points. It's like they're getting everything from that. They have a win over Nebraska, which is, it's a pretty good Big Ten team. That's pretty much it. They lost to Arizona State. Memphis, we rattled off all those wins. Everybody knows the wins they have. The WCC is okay. It's not great, and Gonzaga's down this year. So, again, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, I don't buy what Wolo said yesterday, that maybe the Americans a lot better than we thought. I don't buy that. But the WCC isn't the SEC. And to be 24 spots disparity, that's crazy. And then finally, as I walked out to our foyer during the break, ESPN's on, and the topic was the Grizzlies after the All-Star break. Do you buy into the Grizzlies? And I only heard 2 of the panel. It was Stephen A. Smith and Brian Windhorst, and both said they absolutely buy into the Grizzlies. The point Smith was making was, we haven't even seen Ja Morant at his best. So you got that to look forward to. Knock on wood, stay healthy, play more than 3 games in a row. Jaren Jackson Jr., All-Star, they start talking about all that. Des Bane is certainly in a lot better game shape than he was earlier in the year when he was struggling a little bit, coming off some games missed. I believe in what they say. We'll talk, obviously, a lot more about this next week when they reconvene for the start of the post-All-Star break portion of the schedule. It's All-Star weekend this weekend. It's all about that. But, yeah, I think the Grizzlies certainly have that opportunity to make a great run in the quote, end quote, second half of the season. That is going to do it for us today. We want to thank John Varlas, Katie Wu, Matt Dillon, and Brandon Lang for joining us. Want to thank you folks, especially for listening, for calling in, for texting in. Believe me, we always appreciate it. Well Done Friends on Sports 56 is coming up next. No Dave today, though. Bryant Dacus will pinch hit for him and host the show from 10 to 11 before it's John Harden and Sports 56 Happy Hour. So for Eli Savoy, for Elijah Seegers, I'm Greg Gaston. Have a great weekend, everybody. We are on Monday, despite it being a holiday. We'll talk to you at 7 a.m.